The Wilson County Planning Commission into order. Anyone wishing to give testimony before this board today, if you would, please stand and raise your right hand. I hereby affirm the testimony I give today to be the whole truth, so help me God. Please say I do. I do. Thank you. We need to approve the minutes from the May 22nd meeting. Do we have a motion? I have a motion for Mr. Ash to approve. Second for Mr. Turner. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, that motion will carry. Christopher, I think we are set to go straight into old business.
Yes, sir. First item on old business was rezoning that was deferred from last month's meeting.
Christopher, if you would, keep it as close to, we got a lot of folks.
This is Jams Investment Group LLC rezoning request. Applicant Jams Investment is seeking to rezone property from C3 Highway Commercial to C2 General Commercial. This is an approximate 3-acre tract of property with a long-standing commercial business, which was an antique store, and a commercial structure on the property, which is currently being utilized as an insurance agency. The property is referenced by Wilson County Tax Map 33, Parcel 45. There was a boundary survey submitted to split the property into 2 commercial tracts in the original request in June of 2021, where the property was zoned C3 Highway Commercial. The 1.78 property at the northernmost portion of this original tract, which includes the old antique store structure, is proposed to rezone to C2 General Commercial from the existing C3 Highway Commercial. So the entire tract is 3 acres. They're only asking for 1.78 acres of it to be rezoned to C2. The Wilson County Growth Plan nor the Wilson County Land Use Plan calls for high-intensity commercial development in this location, and C2 General Commercial zoning is considered a high-intensity commercial zone district by county zoning regulations. There is some direction for neighborhood-level commercial development, which would typically be represented by a C1 neighborhood commercial zoning designation or limited office commercial zoning. However, parcels on the other 2 non-government-owned corners of the Northern Road and Highway 109 intersection have already been zoned C to C3 Highway Commercial Zoning designation, thus setting a precedent in the area for allowance of such commercial intensities by zoning it as a busy corner along the state highway. The county land use plan anticipates increased levels of growth in the north-central portion of the county to either side of Highway 109 due to relatively adequate levels of infrastructure as well as market demand when compared to other areas in the county that are less suited for development due to geography, infrastructure, and market demand. Staff views the C1 district as a light intensity zone district that would be permitted generally within approximately 400 feet of what we have to come to refer to as a busy corner to reflect direction in our land use plan, which permits certain neighborhood scale commercial zoning when primary highway frontage reaches 10,000 cars per day and intersecting road approaches 3,000 cars per day in total volume. While we do not have a recent traffic count of the average daily traffic volume on Northern Road, Highway 109 has recent traffic flow volume between 21 and 22,000 vehicles per day passing the site depending upon which traffic count station is reviewed. So under our current land use plan, the 2006, this would classify as a busy corner provision, but that only allows the neighborhood scale commercial. So that's why I was pointing that out for you all. The C3 highway commercial zoning was approved to potentially bring goods and services to part of the county that currently lacks such commercial prison with the expansion of Highway 109 North. We do not have direct land use direction in this portion of the county for the C2 General Commercial, and with the existing C3 zoning already active on the property, staff can see a precedent to rezone to a different district, but with no direct land use direction, staff does not recommend approval. Finally, staff has made copies of the rezoning request available to Emergency Services, Road Commission, and the Wilson County School Board. Staff will note that the proposed rezoning falls within the limits of the Legarda-Wema Station's 5-mile ISO response zone for emergency services. The county engineer has requested that the applicant, planning commission, and other interested parties be put on notice that the presence of sinkholes, caves, wetlands, streams, and land areas that are extremely flat, marshy, or steep may affect development of this tract and total number of lots realized through subdivision development. As an additional point of information, this rezoning does appear to be in closer immediate proximity to at least 2 Century Farms, the first one known as the Graves Wright Farm, and the second one being the Burton Farm, based on information that we have in the Wilson County Planning Office.
Who do we have here to represent this case today? Yes, sir.
Hi,
Good, sir. You? Tell us what you need to tell us about this project.
We're just trying to get that to where we can lease it out to more individuals. Right now, we're limited on the industrial side with the C3, so when we proposed this, I think 3 years ago, it was unanimously recommended by the board to approve, and it got shot down. So we're swinging back around to see if we can get this one done.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else here today wishing to speak on this case?
What's his name?
Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Christopher, can you give us a blanket statement on the difference in the C3 and C2?
As far as our zoning purposes was, we have neighborhood commercial, which is C1, C2 is general commercial, and then C3 is highway commercial, which C3 is your more intense districts, like it allows your chain restaurants, it would allow your larger gas stations that have high flow diesel pumps, it allows hotels and motels, high capacity offices. Your C2, it was kind of created as a catch-all. It allows a lot of the same things C1 with a lot of the uses that you wouldn't typically see in C3, which you don't want along your highway commercial. It will allow storage facilities as a use on appeal. It still allows smaller scale hotels and motels. It allows a lot of C3 just at a smaller scale, and then some of the other uses would be auto repair shops. Highway commercial allows auto sales. C2 would allow auto repair along with that. So that was one of the caveat differences. And then there's a few other uses. I can go through some more if you need them, but those are probably the major ones that get brought up a lot, is the storage and the auto repair.
What is the trailer place currently zoned to? Do you know that?
The trailer place.
BJ's Trailer across the road.
BJ's, it's C3 highway commercial.
It is C3.
Yeah, and the most recent part of that is to the north of that he just got Board of Zoning Appeals approval for a storage yard, and that was he had to accommodate a storage yard because we don't require that to be paved. C3 does allow parking lots, which all parking lot structures based off our zoning ordinance have to be paved structures. To forgo that, you can do a contractor's storage yard or just a storage yard in general, and that is a use on appeal in C3 if you provide enhanced screening of that lot. And that's where you see the berm that was created out there along the frontage of 109.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions from our board?
Christopher, this kind of unusual splitting a commercial lot, isn't it, like this? I mean, they had their lot and they split it.
Well, it's actually already split. It's just on our records, it's still combined for tax purposes because the zoning is the same. It's still the same owner, but they do have two legal tracts of record. Is that what- Yes, sir. It's just combined on our records for tax purposes still.
But they're only asking to rezone the one.
They're only asking to rezone the one. It would be the northernmost portion of this property.
Any other questions from our board?
I got one. It says in there we do not have direct land use in this portion.
That is correct.
So if you did, would that change your recommendation there
Yes, sir. Yep. If it
for approval,
what?
for the approval side?
Yeah, if the land use plan called for a higher intensity commercial above the neighborhood scale commercial of what we have on Highway 109 and 231 for busy corners, I could recommend approval of it, yes.
And I guess just a real quick question. Do you know what you plan to do with?
Right now, it's under a 2-year lease, so we won't do anything for 2 years. At one time, we had talked about leasing to a veterinarian clinic right there. We had a plumber that wanted to lease it, but we couldn't under his current zoning, so we're just trying to get it where I own the insurance agency next to it. I live a mile down the road. I'm just trying to make it where I can lease it out to more people. Now, I don't want heavy commercial like what we've got at BJ's where it's just gravel and trailers, right? We want it nice.
Christopher, he could have a veterinary clinic there now, couldn't he?
He could have a veterinary clinic there. Yes, that would fall under our office. One of his original proposals under C3 would have been he had a dog kennel aspect to that, and that is not permitted in C3, which it would be in C2.
But it would still have to meet all this. I mean, I think there's a 500-foot setback for any property owner.
Only if the dog kennel is in agricultural zone tract. We do not have that threshold for commercial zone tracts that have a dog kennel. No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions from our board? Do we have a motion? I'll make a motion that we deny it based on staff recommendations. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Noakes. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed. That motion will carry and get sent forward to the county.
No, with the denial recommendation, the applicant, you have 10 days, not business days, you have 10 days to appeal to the planning office within writing that you would like to proceed to the county commission with a negative recommendation. Otherwise, the case will fall off and you'll have to reapply at that time.
Just curious, they reached out to me about rezoning this, and now it's getting denied. So it cost me money, and it's getting denied after they reached out to me to try to get this done.
I don't know who they are.
Let you know.
Who are they?
We'll talk about it later.
Yes, sir. Okay. We're ready to move forward, Christopher?
About that later.
Yes, sir. Are we, I don't know if we're going to do this like we normally do or not. The next item that I have is the resolution amending the detached dwelling unit language and size. Do you want to move that to? Okay. So it's a resolution, this was just before you, a few months ago, I'm going to let you all know, but we're trying to, I guess, get this to where everybody's comfortable. Adopted for the purpose of amending the Wilson County, Tennessee zoning resolution regulating accessory detached dwelling units and how it is defined. So if you go to the back of your agenda, that's where the whole resolution is there. This is amending the definition of accessory dwelling unit. We are removing the term accessory and replacing it with the word secondary. So everywhere in the zoning resolution as it pertains to A1, A2, R1, and R2, which are the only districts that accessory dwelling units are allowed, it is changing that from accessory dwelling unit to secondary dwelling unit. And the reasoning behind that request is our private act for adequate facilities tax strictly prohibits the charging of an AFT for accessory structures in the county. And we currently have this defined as an accessory dwelling unit, so it falls within that. So by changing it to secondary dwelling unit, when people come and apply for a secondary dwelling unit permit, which we still allow in those districts, they will be required to pay that $5,000 AFT for the secondary dwelling unit. In second, the change that is going through our most recent amendment, which you all are probably aware of, it was 600 square feet. It got moved to 1,000 square feet. This resolution is also splitting the difference between those two, and it is going to amend it back down to 800 square feet. So the accessory dwelling unit size going forward, if this is adopted by the county commission next month, if you all forward it, it will be called a secondary dwelling unit, and it will have a cap of 800 square feet.
Is this being done at the request of the Planning and Zoning Committee?
Yes, this is being done at the request of Planning and Zoning Committee in order to the main request is in order to capture the AFT fee for the secondary dwelling unit, but while we were in the ordinance, I know there was a lot of heartburn that we moved it all the way to 1,000 from 600, and that got brought up, so we're trying to remedy everything all at once this time.
An applicant would still have the option of going before Board of Zoning Appeals if they needed more footage.
You would, yes, sir.
All right, do we have anyone here today wishing to speak on this matter?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Rusty Thompson, 1835 Holloway Road, Lebanon. Didn't intend really to address this one, but one thing I did want to note, we've already had a couple of cases at the zoning board where folks came forward and you had your 1,000-foot limit. And what they did, or tried to do, if I remember correctly, there was some discussion about how you measure 1,000 feet. Is it gross, like outside wall to outside wall, or can we take individual rooms, a 12 by 14 bedroom and a 10 by 12 kitchen, and just add up those spaces and end up with a larger unit than 1,000 feet? So there's some question as to how that's measured. So if we could get some clarification, like, gross footage is 900 square feet, I think that would be helpful in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Christopher, do we know what the current method is of measurement we're using. I can see where that's an issue because a lot of these structures have garages attached and they're not part of the actual living facility.
We, we do have a definition, so it'd be our floor area definition is the closest thing I have right now at first blush, and that is the area located within the inside perimeter of all exterior walls of the structure.
So that would be measuring room by room, interior measurements, correct?
Well, it'd be from the interior of the exterior walls, not room by room. So you're still going to have a square, but it does specifically state that that includes all occupied by corridors, stairs, closets, and other features protected by enclosed surfaces. So it's not,
It's conditioned space.
yeah, it's conditioned space is what that's going to classify as. I don't know if that answers the question or not, but
I think at least it gives you clarity on what the process would be anyway. We have anyone else here today wishing to speak on this matter? We have any questions from our board?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ash.
Christopher, I'm glad y'all readdressed this. I know I made quite a few comments about this a couple of months ago. 1,000 foot I thought was way under out of line because with that, someone with a 600 foot, we'll say house trailer, could build a secondary home for 1,000 square feet. And if we wasn't careful, we're going to create an environment where we got like duplexes everywhere, for less than a better term. And I think it would be not aesthetic for our community to look like that. So I appreciate Commissioner Evans working on this and bringing this back down to 800 square feet. And, I'm more, with changing this language and getting the AFT and getting all those things in there, I'm more inclined to be in favor of it than I was a couple of months ago.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from our board? I'll call for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Do
Second.
you want to add the language that
Rusty.
this will be based on conditioned space? Is that an accurate term?
well, I mean, we already have that defined in our definition. You can make that as part of your motion, but that's currently how we're already enforcing it to the best of our ability.
For your board, sir?
How you word it is up to y'all. We just would like a definite, a definite definition.
It's up to you if you want to add that.
Add it in there.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the motion as written for Mr. Ash. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second for Ms. Weathers. All those in favor vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion will carry.
And that will be forwarded with a positive recommendation to July's county commission meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the next item under new business is the rezoning request. Let me find it. Okay. So this is a request that is being made by property owner Michael Swope, requesting to rezone property from A1 agricultural to A2 agricultural preservation district. The property contains approximately 108.8 acres and is located at 2021 Bobo Road and is further referenced as Parcel 2 on Wilson County Tax Map 89, Commission District 7, Mr. Terry Scruggs. The Wilson County Land Use Plan calls for low-density residential development in this general area. A2 Agricultural Preservation District adequately fits this description. The difference in possible number of lots realized on this property, if other lot and width bulk requirements can be met, is a consideration when evaluating the difference in current A1 zoning and the proposed A2 zoning. Using the existing zoning criterion found within the Wilson County zoning resolution to calculate potential density, the proposed A2 zoning could allow as many as 27 single-family residential lots on the property, while the existing A1 zoning would allow 59 single-family lots on the property, and that's in a perfect scenario. These density calculations are logically subject to the ability of potential development on the property to meet all viable development and bulk regulations, making necessary infrastructure improvements to obtain the above maximized lot densities provided above. Neither of these zone districts would qualify for a cluster provision within the county, and total lot availability would be less after infrastructure development. Staff will note that this property is landlocked, and at the time of development, the parcel will have to acquire a permanent access point to an existing county right-of-way in order to be approved by the Planning Commission without a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals. That dedication of right-of-way, regardless of proposed lot sizes in the future within the development, would come before the Planning Commission for approval. Staff has made this rezoning request available to executive representatives of the school system, road commission, and the Wilson EMA. The proposed rezoning falls within the Carthage Highway WEMA station located at 5424 Carthage Highway's 5-mile ISO response zone for fire and emergency services. County engineer again has requested that the applicant, planning commission, and other parties be put on notice that the presence of sinkholes, caves, wetlands, streams, and land areas that are extremely flat, marshy, or steep may affect the development of this tract and total number of lots realized through subdivision development. As an additional point of information, this rezoning does not appear to be in close or immediate proximity to any Century Farms based on information provided by the Wilson County Planning Department. There is one on the north side of I-40. I don't know if we consider that in close proximity, but I will note that one. With the above stated and the proposed request following the direction for density in the 2006 land use plan, staff can recommend approval of the request.
Okay, thank you, sir. Who's here to represent this case today? Yes, sir.
Michael Swope, 2021 Bobo Road. I'm here to request a down zone to my farm from A1 to A2. I've been told by many people, if you want agricultural land preserved so bad, then why don't you have your own property rezoned? I see now why no one has. The cost of this process here has prevented anyone from going through with it. Today, I will take the lead, and I will ask that you allow me to be the first property in Wilson County to have a 3.6 acre minimum lot size. It's also worth noting, given what we're going to be talking about later today, that my farm is in the middle of rural living. There's no city water on my farm, and the nearest city water is 1.5 miles one direction, 3 miles the other direction, and 5.5 miles the other direction. So what I would say is infrastructure before development. When we're talking about the land use plan, please remove rural living from the east end of the county. It doesn't make sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Christopher, am I reading that right, that this property has no road frontage or right-of-way at all?
That is correct. It has an easement access onto Bobo Road, but it is currently landlocked.
With an easement, could you build a home or do anything? Just
You can build one home on an
With an
existing
easement,
easement.
okay.
As long as the tract was landlocked prior to creation of the zoning ordinance, which I believe this one was. It's been like that since inception, but yes. And there is one home back on this property, but currently, he would not be permitted another building permit on this property or a legally subdivided property at this point without some sort of forgiveness from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Just curious about that, sir. Do we have anyone else here today wish to speak on this case? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Kaylee Kreider Pratt, Watertown, Tennessee. I have 3 questions. I'm not an expert. To this landlocked question, if it can't be subdivided, my question is why would this rezone matter? And what is the precedent we might be setting by rezoning a property that in itself cannot be split anyway? So what's the purpose, I guess, would be my question. The second would be, you will remember that a few months ago, news outlets reported the possible siting of a large ICE detention facility in Wilson County. At that time, the applicant stated on Facebook that he would like to put it in his backyard. Am I to understand that without road frontage, siting a large prison would not be possible regardless of how it is zoned, and or that if the Planning Commission were to approve the applicant's request for A2, that it would definitely not qualify? And my third question is that given that it appears the zoning of this property is a moot point, is it possible we're meant to be considering his property on Holloway Road, which, as I understand it, has enough frontage for at least 2 2.5 acres lots. I do have information here if that would be helpful to you on these points, if you'd like me to approach and give that to you, sir.
You can. And Christopher, would you like to try to answer those questions, please?
I can. I'm going to go in order the way you asked them. The no road frontage question, it could have a bearing on rezoning, but in this case, it's a down zone. So if anything, it is, I guess, benefiting the fact of less development on a landlocked tract. Any sort of subdivision development, as I mentioned, will require they will have to find public access to this property if it is to be developed. We will not allow development of this tract without an existing public right-of-way connection. So at the time that the applicant ever wishes to develop this tract, he will have to somehow purchase a 50-foot strip of land that touches the public right-of-way, regardless of the zone district. The second one, which is the ICE facility, we allow governmental and utility uses in all of our zone districts in Wilson County. So if there was something proposed by the federal government in this instance, there's not a lot of prohibition of that type of facility on any tract in Wilson County, regardless of whether or not it's this one. If the federal government chose to put something there, I don't know us as a local government would have a lot of enforcement capabilities on those. We could ask that they follow our current regulations, but they're not bound by them. And as far as the application was made for the tract, the 108 acres on Bobo Road. I am aware that the applicant owns property on Holloway Road, but that is not what the application was filled out for, so that is not in front of you today.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers all the questions or not.
So the true answer behind that is if ICE or the federal government wanted to put anything on his property,
Correct.
They could use eminent domain and almost do anything they wanted to do.
They could, yes, sir.
Okay.
And we could ask them to follow our regulations, but they're not bound by them.
Okay. That's fine and well. Anyone else wishing to speak on this today? Mr. Neal?
Thank you guys for allowing us to be here. My name is Perry Neal, live at 1000 Murphy Lane. Myself and my family are adjoining property owners to this property. We own property directly across the road from this property. I support Mr. Swopes and his request 100%. Like I said, he's wanting to down zone. I think it sets a great example going forward for maybe one little small step or one little tool that we can put in our toolbox for preserving agriculture in rural parts of the county. So I just wanted to say that I support it 100%. I would assume that if a person were wanting to put a ICE detention facility on their property, they would be moving from an A1 zoning to a more commercial zoning. They would not be moving in the direction Mr. Swope is moving. In my opinion, he's moving in the opposite direction you would move if you wanted commercial development on your property. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
I do need to clarify one thing. In the applicant's testimony, you listed a square footage, which I don't know if it adds up or not, but the minimum lot size allowed in A2, unless you're on public sewer, would be a 4-acre tract.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today? Do we have any questions from our board? Yes, sir. Mr. Ash.
Didn't know Ms. Pratt was going to touch on this, but the applicant lives 4 doors, or did live 4 doors down from me until a few weeks ago, on Holloway Road. But his post was concerning to me because I've been up here 50 years, in and out of here, different levels of government. And the night of the ICE facility was the 3rd largest crowd I'd ever seen in this building. And I can tell you the other 2, one was a rock quarry fight, one was a landfill fight, then that one, and the 4th one happened to be county employees upset about their insurance. So that's kind of the way it's gone. But this post is his post, it's not mine. And it says, I support ICE. Put it in my backyard. I will be willing to agree to 10 times the Wilson County's fair share. Now, the first time I looked at that, because he lives down below me on Holloway Road, and I said, well, I don't guess you can put that on 4 acres. And then this came up. And I don't want somebody in here stop me in Walmart or Home Depot or Sam's or getting gas and say, Terry, you knew about this and you didn't say nothing about it. Because that's what always usually happens. Somebody sets on something, don't know it. I have no idea what his intentions are. I'm sure he will regress back to the stand here and explain that. And he said, I won't read the rest of the gobbledygook because it's things that the applicant really doesn't know anything about. I am certified in federal prisons and county jails by the federal government about building jails, running jails, and operating jails, even building sites. I've served as a consultant to builders on building sites in the state. But he says that he'd be good with a facility that holds 370 people. And then as I was discussing this with someone, they said, well, that ain't enough land out there to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, over that hill right over here that y'all own, that I bought 30 years ago, there's 700 inmates being held over there on about an acre and a half. So nobody don't need to tell me that what you can't do as far as housing inmates are concerned. But I hope he's changed his mind, but this is concerning to me as it relates to this piece of property. So Christopher, my question is, I think you answered it. In changing this zoning, it doesn't give them a better opportunity to do this, does it? Or is it just doesn't matter one way or the other?
I mean, it doesn't change the opportunity. This could be zoned light industrial or agricultural preservation. They would have the same percentage of opportunity to get this tract.
I know the feelings of people in this county. Y'all been good enough to elect me several times, but we don't need it to be any more talk about ICE facilities. It just creates controversy. And I'm sorry he felt that way enough to post it, but I'm not too sure how it's going to make me vote on this, to be honest with you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Dash. Do we have any other questions from our board?
Real quick, just not to muddy the water, but like, I mean, he's going from A1 to A2, right? I mean, that's what we're
Yes, sir.
deciding on right here. I mean, like, I didn't know about the ICE thing or anything like that, but like, that really doesn't play a part in this, right, Christopher?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from our board?
I'd like to respond, if I may.
I'll give you 1 minute, please, sir. If that's okay.
As it pertains to the ICE thing, I didn't realize I was going to be personally attacked here. But if you read that post in its entirety, what it's talking about is not supporting the large ICE facility that we had, and that we should take on the responsibility of taking on a smaller number of ICE detainees if we had the facilities at the jail to do it, and if ICE was willing to pay us for those inmates. I've worked in prisons and jails. I've worked for the Sheriff's Department, not here, but in Washington State. I've worked as a police officer. I'm currently a federal law enforcement officer. I'm not naive as to how these things work. Federal contract inmates is a thing, and counties can make good money doing it. And we could have supported ICE, possibly, in doing that. I just thought that might have been a great deal for the county and a great deal for the federal government. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
you
sir.
make no money. You make no money housing federal inmates. You always operate in a hole because the standards are so high that you have to meet them every day. Trust me, no money to be made there.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from our board? If not, I will call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I have a motion for Mr. Neal to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second from Mayor Hutto. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Joe? Okay,
I'm gonna need a roll
we're
call.
probably going to do hand.
I'm gonna need a roll call.
You're going to do a roll call?
Well, I need something.
Oh, you're fine. Do your roll call.
I'm just gonna go down the line. Nicholson,
Abstain.
Noakes, Turner, Weathers, Jones, Hutto, Neal, Woods, Ash. Okay, so that is a positive recommendation. 8-4 or 7-4, 1 no, 1 abstain.
And this will be forwarded to the county commission, I assume in July or August.
This will be in July. It follows the existing land use direction, so there's only a 15-day notice requirement. It will be in July.
Have final say on rezonings.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay. What do we got next, Christopher?
The next item is, you have one more rezoning on today's agenda. This is the application submitted by B&R Lebanon Investments, is seeking to amend the R1 Rural Residential PUD Plan Unit Development. The property is referenced by Wilson County Tax Map 14, being parcels 5.04, 7, 8, and Map 26, parcel 3.03. The property contains approximately 406.81 acres. The PUD was approved in February of 2025 by the Wilson County Commission. This request is seeking a master plan amendment to bring the development into the current minimum requirements for the R1 residential PUD. The county's current PUD ordinance was last amended in November of 2025. The recent plan, again, was approved in February of 2025, so we did change regulations approximately 9 months after their approval. Should the County Planning Commission or the County Commission ultimately decide to approve this request, this submitted revision will void and vacate the previous master plan approval in February of 2025 in its entirety. The original approval for this development was for 435 lots on a total of 406.81 acres. The R1 PUD, if all preservations and amenity requirements are met today, would allow up to 1.75 units per acre or 711 lots total for this exact same acreage. This master plan is proposing a total lot allowance of 560 lots, so that's an additional 125 lots on their previous approval. This lot count, if approved, will be tied to the master plan, and additional lots can only be added if requested and approved by the Planning Commission and subsequently the Wilson County Commission. So I just want to reiterate that if you approve this today, it's for the 560 lots. If they choose to ever want to add more, they have to go back entirely through the rezoning process. So it comes to you and then the County Commission for any additional lots. Just because it's R1 does not mean that's a use by right. Any additional lots will have to come back before you. On page 13 of the development plan, which I don't know if you all have, we can get copies of it to you. I know it was mailed out. It is a detailed lot threshold improvements to be made at lot counts in compliance with section 5.5 of the Wilson County zoning ordinance. Items of note that I want to specifically list: entrance onto Bates Road will be constructed with a southbound center turn lane and a northbound decel lane. That is at the development start. Secondary connections onto Estes Road will be completed with the 99th lot, and that is in keeping with our subdivision regulations of 2 entrances of developments of 99 lots or more. Off-site road improvements at Academy and Bradshaw are to be completed at a 40% build-out, roughly at the 220th lot approval, pending there is right-of-way to support that. Currently, the right-of-way at that intersection is roughly 30 feet wide, so there may have to be some design or right-of-way acquisition to accommodate that. But that is an off-site improvement recommended by the traffic study we required for this development. A common fence will be provided by the developer along the 25-foot buffer separation where private property lines abut this common area, and that is to help protect existing parcels from encroachment onto their property. So there'll be a 25-foot buffer on any existing peripheral lines, followed by a common fence to delineate those private property lines with common open space. And the last one is 30% of this site is to be left in its natural state and is to remain undisturbed throughout the development process, and that is a do not disturb. There will not be stormwater amenities there. There will not be active amenities there. It is to be left as it is seen today, 30% of the site at a minimum. Deviations from these requirements or any other requirements listed under section 5.5 of the Wilson County zoning ordinance will be required to come back before the Planning Commission for approval and recommendation to the full County Commission. Staff has made this PUD amendment request available to the executive representatives of the School System, Road Commission, and Wilson EMA. The proposed amendment is within Station 6, Old Legardo Road's 5-mile ISO response zone for fire and emergency services. Again, the county stormwater department has requested that the applicant, planning commission, and other interested parties be put on notice that the presence of sinkholes, caves, wetlands, and streams in land areas that are extremely flat, marshy, or steep may affect further development of these tracts. As an additional point of information, this request is near 2 Century Farms based on information in the Wilson County Plan Department. The first is the Wright Jennings Farm being located at 231 Northwest Williams Road, and the Bates Farm located at 380 Bates Road. With the above statements made, this request does conform with the language in the Wilson County zoning ordinance in relation to the PUD. Staff can recommend approval. I do want to reiterate that if no action is taken on this PUD approval, if it is approved and no action is taken by the developer after approval, the PUD master plan will cease to exist and the zoning will return to A1 agricultural zoning, and that is 24 months after the approval at County Commission.
All right, thank you. Who do we have here to represent the case today? Yes, sir. I'll get you next, Mr. McFarland.
Can you pull the slides again?
Yes. Naomi, can you just give her a signal when you want to slide through these slides too?
Hi, good morning. I'm Troy Gardner with Pape Dawson. I'm here today on behalf of BNR Development. We are here requesting a master plan amendment to the previously approved Cumberland Oaks PUD. If we go back one slide, we can see the previously approved PUD had 435 lots, a mixture of public and private streets with varying widths, 4 different lot sizes, and required multiple variances. The proposed amendment includes 560 lots, all public streets with the same width throughout, a simplified lot mix, conservation land, and a land dedication to the county. Okay, if you'll skip to the next one. Since the original approval, the county has updated the PUD regulations. The proposed amendment responds to the county's current regulations in several important ways. It eliminates the previously required variances, creates a uniform and fully public street system, simplifies and standardizes the neighborhood design, includes community amenities, conservation lands, and land dedication to the county, and remains well within the density permitted under the current PUD ordinance. The approved PUD included variances for building separation, pedestrian circulation, private access community, building materials, and finished private outdoor area. The proposed amendment eliminates all required variances and meets all current PUD regulations. The approved PUD included 5 different street and alley types, shown here. Some were public, some were private, and all were with different widths. The amendment proposes replacing the mixed public-private street system with a single public 50-foot right-of-way throughout the neighborhood that matches the county's standard roadway section. This simplifies the county's maintenance responsibilities and creates a more consistent transportation network for future residents. The approved plan included 4 lot types. The amendment proposes 3. This simplifies the neighborhood design and increases the minimum width from 40 feet to 60 feet. Both plans included community amenities. However, the proposed amendment further aligns with the updated PUD standards by also providing conservation land as well as land dedication to the county. A minimum of 30% of the site is required for conservation. This is land that must remain undisturbed. The amendment proposes 137.5 acres of conservation land, which is 15 acres more than is required. Also, 10 acres are proposed to be dedicated to the county for the public's benefit. While the proposed lot count increases, the amended plan utilizes only 80% of the density permitted under the county's current ordinance. By comparison, the original approval utilized approximately 98% of the density permitted at this time. So with this information, we would request that you vote to approve.
Can you tell me, you said you have 3 common lot sizes. What are those lot sizes?
They are 70, 80, and 100-foot lot widths.
That's width. What about size?
They're the ones on the screen now.
Can't see that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
They're all 120 feet in depth. So the first one is 60 by 120, the second one is 70 by 120, and then their third is 100 by 150. That's what you're wanting the square footage is?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. McFarland.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Jerry McFarland, Commissioner, District 5, 5335 Cold Spur Pike. What we wanted to get into in the county commission and in the planning and zoning committee of the county commission was to be able to provide development, but at the same time, maintain that there's a lot of open space still available. And for example, if you had 1,000 acres and want to be a PUD, and you're going to develop 500 houses and leave 500 as normal, natural, if you will. And that's kind of the way this thing started off. With the previous plan, probably 100 less houses and probably a little bit more open space. I have had 2 complaints on the change, and I'm not going to call this a bait and switch, but it's definitely a switch. I've had 2 concerns. One is that along the roadway going in, there's like 30-something houses or 30-something lots have been along that roadway, and concerns from some of the neighbors that that's may not be as sightly pretty as it should be. And taking that comment, I came over and looked on, I think it's page 19 in this plan. It looks to me like those houses are fairly nice looking, that would be along both sides of that road where they're clustered, but look like it'd be fairly nice. But at any rate, hearing what the director said a minute ago, if you wanted to add more housing, I'm just concerned that we're just getting more and more houses and less of the natural land left. I had another concern. I had a gentleman email me last night, one of his concerns. I put a copy of that on everybody's desk here. So with that said, I've been the commissioner there. I don't have a recommendation. I really have a concern about expanding. What we're going to do, come back and couple of years we'll add another 100 houses, I don't know, take away the green space that we're talking about trying to maintain. So for that, I don't have a recommendation, but my concern is getting a little higher all the time. So
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
One of the big selling points on this originally to you, Mr. McFarland, was that all the stormwater and runoff was going to not
go to the river. Go to the river, correct.
Is that still, that's still an accurate statement?
I don't think it is. I think the stormwater down on the road, I don't know. I'm not an engineer on it, but stormwater appeared to be down on the entry road there would go a different direction, maybe. You know, on the first plan, we had a community meeting down there. I attended that community meeting. Everybody got happy with it. Yeah, it's going to be good. Most of the houses are going to be on the other side of the ridge. We're going to be good neighbors and all that. I hadn't been to a community meeting on this. Don't know if they had one or not. So, with that said, I'm kind of in the dark too, but there are some concerns with the neighbors down there.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Charles Smith, Leland Lane. Got a question for you. What do you think the Constitution is? Most people get this wrong. They'll tell you that it's the law of the land, but it's also the action taken from the Declaration of Independence. Okay. In 1926, the Supreme Court decided to tell every landowner to get bent. They said that we, the government, get to tell you what you can and cannot do with the land that you either worked for, inherited, etc. It got worse in 1973 with the land use plan. Not only can the government tell people what they can and cannot do on their own land, they get to say, hey, we're taking your land for whatever. That should be appalling to everybody sitting here. Government has a very few jobs, okay? Keep the train on the tracks, right? Protect and enforce the rights of the citizens. Be microscopically small. You should have to ask somebody where to find a government office. You're not supposed to be dilly-dallying in everybody's everyday lives, and I'm not trying to come up and go scorched earth or anything like that, but you know, and one of those things about protecting the rights of the citizens is also protecting the culture, okay? And what we see with all this growth is you'll have one fella bringing in 600, right, through land use. But what about the 2,000 that were already here? Why do you get to add another 20% to that burden because one guy wants to slap some cash in his pocket? And that's completely okay, but you have to take in not only land impact, but you also have to take in culture impact, okay? Wilson County is pretty country. I grew up here. Grew up on a 75-acre cattle farm. My granddaddy had 1,400 acres out of Tucker's. I live, sadly, I didn't get to bring up my son and my grandchildren that way, but divorces happen and things change. What I would ask that you do is, instead of talking about land use, let's work on culture maintenance, okay? What are we doing? I mean, this county, this town was all built around agriculture, and since 1970, I know that the city of Lebanon has gone from about 10,500 to projected to 56,000 by the end of the year. That's ridiculous. I don't know what the population of Wilson County is. I'm sorry. I spent half the night in the hospital and I got a little bit of a late start today, but I thought I ought to be here. That's all I got, man. I just encourage you to think about it. You know, let's not be turning here into there. Most people are coming to Wilson County and Lebanon to get away from the stuff, right? To get away from the madhouse traffic, overloaded roads, crashed out infrastructure. But we're turning it into there. Let's not do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please come forward, state your name for the record.
Don Floyd, 540 Bradshaw Road. I live in this area. Bradshaw Road and Bates Road are narrow roads. They're in good shape, but they're starting to show some wear. There's some dangerous spots in these roads, especially on Bates. There's a sharp curve, and then you go over a hill, and Chaplin Lane goes off to the left. Those people coming out of that subdivision are taking their lives in their hands because they come over that hill. There's maybe 20 yards, 30 yards. I think, Mr. Mayor, you had you're followed up with us. I was at the last meeting about speeding on Bradshaw, and your office followed up with the deputy coming out, running some radar. It didn't slow anything down. Bradshaw Road, we have several times a day where landscapers come in and park in the road, so it's down to one lane. And then we've got this big blue truck, you probably never heard of Amazon. They're there all the time, and they stop in the middle of the road, we're down to one lane again. This addition you're talking about is 29% bigger than you're adding on 29%. Can you imagine the number of cement trucks, gravel trucks, building materials, excavating equipment? They're not going to do anything good for our roads. They're going to make them worse. The county's going to have to come in and take care of them. I came in on Coles Ferry. Coles Ferry is starting to show some wear. I want to compliment the Legardo Fire Department. They do an excellent job with one engine. With this big addition, it's going to put a strain on them. 109 keeps them busy with accidents. If they're on the way to a fire and end up, 109 is going to end up being a parking lot. The other thing is the wildlife in this area that's going to be pushed out. I just had a neighbor hit a deer, $12,000 damage to his vehicle. These deer and wildlife have to have some place to go. And you can't say, well, you got to stay in this 120 acres of green that we're going to allow. They're going to go wherever they want to go. I've got a petition here with 43 people name on it that are against it.
We'll be glad to take it, sir, but we can't consider the petition.
Oh, okay, that's fine. But think about the injuries and the...
And your time's up right now.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much, sir.
If you want to pass that down, I'll get it scanned in and submitted for the record.
Yes, ma'am.
My name's Molly Erickson, 3040 Callis Road. My husband and I have owned rural acreage for decades. This land is not just where you live, but where we built our lives. The peaceful landscape of Wilson County is what makes our home. I'm here for Wilson County who have children in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and for their grandchildren. Life is short. Only about less than 1% of Americans live to be 100. We must protect what matters. The proposed future land use plan does not reflect the public input gathered. Citizens were told the plan would protect agriculture.
Ma'am, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we're actually working on something down off 109 right now, and you're welcome to continue.
I live off 109.
Oh, okay.
I live on Callis Road,
Callis Road.
where the beer works is.
Okay, I thought you were talking about the land.
Other side of 40, this case that we're talking about.
This is over on the river.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're
Certainly.
talking the whole.
Please go ahead and finish. You're fine.
Okay. I mean, I'm talking of Americans, the whole America.
Okay.
Okay. The okay, I don't know where I was at. The proposed future land use land does not reflect the public input gathered. Citizens were told the plan would protect agriculture, rural living, and open space, but definitions in the plan, especially reducing rural acreage down to 1-acre lots, do not preserve rural character. They increase residential density instead of slowing it. When protections for rural acreage are weakened, it may not be called discrimination. And beyond that, to ignore this responsibility is to turn away from the gift God placed in our hands. We have been given something precious, and a part of honoring that gift is preserving rural roots that define Wilson County. According to state reports, Wilson County is over $1 billion behind in infrastructure. Roads, schools, and utilities are stretched thin. We cannot responsibly increase density when we cannot support the growth we already have. This is not a show. This is not about politics. This is about the wholeness of Wilson County. We do not want to see it disappear because of a plan that does not match the community's voice. I'm asking you to strengthen protections for rural land, honor the public input that was gathered, preserve open space, farmland, and rural identity that make Wilson County special. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Let me get the rest of it. Please come forward, ma'am.
I'm not going to do this land use plan right now. You understand that.
Good morning. My name is Leanne Landstrom. I teach at Mount Juliet Christian Academy. I've had the opportunity to meet Mayor Hutto in the past. My husband and I were sent here by the Lord 3 years ago. We looked at 300 houses painstakingly, and he had us buy 106 Chelford Place. Forgive me for my emotion. That lady's speech was beautiful. He sent us here. I did not have a job or insurance, but he told us to move, and so we moved on faith, knowing that he sent us for a purpose on purpose. Now he has us in a community doing a lot of amazing things, not only at school, doing the March for Life this weekend, and we love the community here in Wilson County. We left the urban life of Chicagoland and corrupt politics to come here to be in a place where people love the Lord, stand behind their word. We sat in this room February 2025, and your yes was yes, and we trusted that. And now we're back here this many months later with our hearts broken at the opportunity of thinking of 1,500 kids flooding our school district and another 2,000 cars. If you take that number, multiply it. The road is a $52 million road. It's supposed to be 20 feet from the back of our fence line. Right now, my husband has a poster of the beauty that's there, 21 acres with 20 trees and all of the deer and the wildlife as she was speaking about. It's a beautiful place of God's creation, and it is such a beautiful thing to be treasured. The commute time to school was 23 minutes when we moved here. It's now 31 on the way home. Instead of 28 minutes, it's now 42 because of the traffic on 109. We heard today 22,000 cars go up and down that stretch. On Quarry Loop Road, people are driving 45 to 50 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, going past hundreds of homes, which is destroying the beauty and the quiet and the solitude for all of those residents. I'm wanting you to think about all the trustworthy, generous, faithful, hardworking taxpayers and citizens that are here, not only in this room, but live in all those places that are going to be grossly impacted by changes in light and noise pollution, removing all these green spaces, having these schools be overtaxed. LaGuardo has only been open one school year, and there were already 500 students there. If all of these homes go in, that's 700 houses times perhaps 2 kids, flooding those schools. We're just asking that you would listen to the residents today, that you would care about the things that we say today, about why we live here, why we love it here, and that our word is our word. And when we give our word, we have to stand by it. As a Christian school teacher, I could not say anything disingenuous to my students without facing great controversy. We respect Mr. Blackstock and his business partner and all the millions of dollars they've poured into this. They love this home. His family has been here for generations. I don't know that Lebanon would be on the map if it weren't for his family, with all the legacy that they've had over the last 40 or 50 years here in this area. But we stood by him in 2025 and voted for the amendment, but we cannot stand by and vote for this based on the reasons I shared. So thank you. God bless you. We pray you make the right choice.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Marcia Cummins. I live at 3031 Lillard Place. Our property actually backs up to the farmland that separates the Estes property, the second entrance there. We are physically downhill from where they're going to be building those homes, and so our main concern too is the runoff. I know they say that most of it's going to go into the river, but when you're downhill from something, you can't help but wonder, how that's actually going to work. There was a number of things that were raised through our neighborhood Facebook sites. One was the schools that had been previously mentioned. The other is the traffic flow that comes in and out of there. You had mentioned that there was 21,000 cars that go up 109. The last meeting that we were at on this, they had mentioned that there would be 11,000 car impact coming from this neighborhood on a daily basis, people coming and going. That's
a trips per day.
Trips per day, but it is traffic on the road. And now you've added another 30%, or they're proposing 30%, which means more cars. It is a 2-lane country road. It's not designed for that many cars. And it seems to be an ongoing problem is that the development gets ahead of the infrastructure controls. And we're asking that you really think about this because Northwest Williams and Bates is like a horseshoe road. If you're coming from Nashville, it makes more sense that you're going to turn right into the neighborhood to get to your house on Northwest Williams. If you're coming from Sumner County, it makes sense that you're going to turn on Bates. One of those intersections are going to need a light for safety reasons, because if you ever sat at Northwest Williams and trying to turn left onto 109, you're taking your life into your own hands. You have to wait and wait and wait. And then you have to get into that middle lane, which we call the suicide lane, and hope that you don't get rear-ended. So it's just not safe right now to add this kind of development in that community. We're also concerned about the dynamite that they use to blast things out and how that's going to affect our homes. We live 1.5 miles away from the TVA steam plant as the crow flies. And I know we can't do anything about the steam plant. That's not my argument here. I am a realtor, and if I have a buyer that's buying property, the seller is required to disclose any noise issues that are heard around the community or around the house that would cause them to maybe second guess their purchasing. We are 1.5 miles away from there, and about twice a month, the noise is so loud. We can't go outside and enjoy our almost 2-acre property. We have to stay in the house. We spent $18,000 on new windows to reduce that noise, but on those days, it's incredibly loud. And if you live anywhere within our neighborhood or up and down Bates Road, you can hear it yourself. I can't imagine them building these homes without disclosing this problem to those buyers. Because if they're spending $500,000 to $1 million on a home, they deserve to know that they're going to be facing this issue at least a couple times a month and sometimes more. We can't do anything about the plant. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying that how can you put those people in that position? Because they may be viewing the property on the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Eisentraut. We live at 3027 Lillard Place. We're their neighbors.
Yes, ma'am.
When this development was originally approved, there was a balance between residential density and preservation of open space. That balance is now being fundamentally altered. The question before this board is not whether growth should occur. Growth is already approved. The question is whether the community should accept substantially greater density than what residents, planners, and decision makers originally expected. The most concerning aspect of this proposal is the loss of the open space. Open space is not vacant land waiting to be developed. It serves important purposes: stormwater management, flood mitigation, wildlife habitat, scenic preservation, recreation opportunities, and community character. Once these acres are converted to lots, roads, and rooftops, they're gone permanently. An additional 125 homes means hundreds more daily vehicle trips. Using common transportation estimates, 435 homes generate thousands of trips annually. 560 homes generate substantially more traffic, including morning and evening peak hour congestion. Residents deserve to know what impact will this have on nearby intersections. Are road improvements planned and funded? Will emergency response times be affected? Have school transportation impacts been evaluated? Without clear answers, approving additional density shifts the burden onto existing residents and taxpayers. More homes mean greater demand on water systems, sewer systems, roads, schools, emergency services, parks, and recreational facilities. Before increasing density, the city should require clear evidence that existing infrastructure can support the increase without degrading service levels. Growth should pay for growth. We moved here a year ago from the Knoxville area. We weren't here when the original PUD was approved. I'd like to think the original plan received consideration because it included significant open space preservation. Now the developer seeks to keep the benefits while reducing one of the major public benefits that likely justified the approval. If nearly half of the open space is removed, then the rationale for granting additional development flexibility should be reexamined. Wilson County is growing rapidly. Residents understand growth is inevitable, but they also expect thoughtful growth. Higher density and reduced green space may increase profits for the developer, but the long-term impacts are borne by residents who will live with the traffic, congestion, drainage concerns, and loss of natural areas. This is not a minor modification. It is a fundamental change to the character and balance of the original development plan. Rather than simply increasing the project's profitability, what public benefit is the community receiving in exchange for losing approximately 118 acres of open space?
Ma'am, your time's up. Thank you so much.
Take it on me both ends. My name's Tim Landstrom. I live at 106 Chalford Place. I don't have any words that can even begin to adequately explain to you how this will impact us that goes beyond this. This is the view from my patio. Based on the original PUD that I supported, and I do not begrudge Shelby his ability to capitalize upon his property, and I do not envy you any of the decisions that you are responsible to make. This is the view. It doesn't belong to us. It belongs to Shelby. I get that. This is the reason we bought our house. The words of the song that come to mind to me back in the early 90s, they paved paradise and put up a parking lot. It just hurt. The very first thing that's going to happen is that excavators are going to come in on Bates Road and they are going to strip everything that you see here all the way back to the tree line that's on this end. They're going to take what's currently beautiful and they are going to turn it into mud. And it's going to be mud for years. And I can say that because of what I've seen happen on Bender's Ferry Pike, and I can say that because of what I've seen on Coles Ferry, just this side of Hartman. That's going to happen. And my greatest concern relative to this whole development, and there are many things that have come up, That steam plant is loud as can be. It is so loud. I have no idea what the sound dynamics are like here, but it's like a valley. Some days it sounds like 109 is at Bates. Some days it sounds like the steam plant is in my neighbor's backyard. It is so crazy, but that doesn't matter. My biggest concern is that this goes forward and nobody comes. What if you build it and nobody comes? Because that could happen. That could happen. Now, I understand there's already a PUD in place. It's already there. They can develop it, and I get that. And selfishly, honestly, I loved it because there were only a half a dozen houses along this strip, and I know that that would require that things be done, and I know that that means that they could get built. But that's not 24 houses. That's not 1/3 acre lots equally split from Bates to back to that tree line with houses built 15 feet apart from one another the whole way. Now, by the grace of God, they would actually be masonry. By the grace of God, they would actually be hardy board.
Sir, your time's up. Thank you.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I know this is getting to be a long meeting. My name is Perry Neal, 1000 Murphy Lane. I just have a couple of quick questions. At this density, I'm not very good at math. How many houses would actually be on an acre at the highest density they're proposing? How many houses would be on 1 acre of land?
Was their proposal would be 1.4 homes? I mean, on average, you're talking about an average, right?
No, I'm talking about in the highest density. You had 3 different things up there. At that highest density, in the real world, how many houses would be on an acre of land there?
You're talking if you jammed all of those lots onto 1 acre, how many
What
homes?
they are proposing, and they build it, and I go down there 5 years from today, how many houses would be sitting on, I thought that was a simple question. How many houses would be on an acre of land?
How many square feet in a lot? That's what we need to know.
The smallest lot proposal average is 7,200 square feet. So if you had all of those on 1 acre, it'd be 6.3 homes on that acre.
6.3 houses per acre. I just wanted to ask that for clarity.
I mean, you're talking, yeah, but yes, on that acre, if you put six of those lots would fit on 1 acre, yes. The overall development density of the plan is 1.4 units per acre.
Part of the land won't have any houses, but I'm wanting to say, if you drive through this development 10 years from today, there will be 6.3 houses per acre as you drive by the road. Could be. Is that what they're asking?
For any given acre, yes, but you could drive by a portion of it and there not be any homes.
I understand that totally. Okay. At the highest density, there would be
6.3.
I just wanted to bring that to some. The other question would be the long-term impacts of this as far as the sewer. I have no idea if it's on city sewer or step systems, but anyway, I think there could be long-term repercussions on either one of those, city or step systems. The other one is the long-term repercussions with traffic and with schools. There's going to be a lot of kids. So I just think long-term, this is probably not a good fit for the community. And like everything, in my mind, it's pretty simple. You've got 2 sides. You've got the developer who wants to, he hasn't said why he wants more houses. I would assume it's to make more money. I would assume it's more profitable. You have all the other people that are concerned about a quality of life. And I would just ask that when you make your decision, you consider the quality of life for the people that live out there. Thank you.
I'm Wes Harris with Pape Dawson. I'm the civil on the project, and I just wanted to clarify that we're keeping the soil areas that support this development, and then also we're very very aware of the sensitivity of the drainage, and we know the water has to go to the river. Like full well aware of that, and we're in detailed design right now, but we're going to send the water to the river.
This is on a step system.
This is a step system, yes, sir. Sorry.
And there is, at this point, there is no actual approval from Wilson County Water.
We can't get approval right now.
I understand.
But we studied the soils, done the detailed soil analysis, and what we can do up to this point. Yes.
Hurry up and wait, and I understand.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you a question?
You can, sir.
So I remember earlier when this came up, and we approved this thing sometime back, I'm still not sure about the runoff and the water. At one time, I was told it wasn't gonna go in the river, then is it going in the river more now with this plan, or?
It's going to the river, and basically this plan was to keep the overall development footprint to what we had previously. If you look, there were some, just the way we've arranged it and stuff is very similar to the road network and everything that we were working with before. Part of the density comes from double loading some roads and getting some efficiencies, but all the stormwater still goes to the river.
So there were, since you're the civil engineer on it.
Yes, sir.
So there was some talk at that time about the possibility of y'all talking to him, working with the road commission on widening Bates Road. Did that conversation ever take place?
My traffic engineer's here, so I don't want to speak out of turn on that one.
Allow me just one more question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
All the conversation, I remember it's been a year or so ago now, slipped 2 or 3 times since then, but
I understand.
The issue about public maintained property on there, the public access property, is that going to require the county to keep maintenance on that property, or is this development going to maintain cutting the grass and doing all this stuff?
I believe the development maintains the property. Now, I don't know the details of the 10 acres that we are dedicating. I assume if the county does something with that 10 acres, if you accept the 10 acres, then that would be worked out with the developer, but most likely whatever you put there would be the county maintenance, but everything else in the development is on us.
Big if in a way. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it's just raised a question in my mind about who's going to be responsible for the cost of that. Is it going to be the county to maintain it, mow it, make it look just a developer?
Can you tell us where it's located, the 10 acres that you're proposing to dedicate is?
It is kind of right there in the center of the property. If you see between the main entrance coming in and the lake, it's right, yeah, there you go. Yes, sir.
It's actually inside the development. It's not.
It is, yes, sir.
Not fronting any current county roads.
It is not, no, sir.
That's what my question is. No county road in front of it now.
No, it'll be on new roads.
I don't want to get you completely off track, but you need to get through all the public comment and then call development-driven connect. You need to call the developer back up for development-directed questions. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do we have anyone else wishing to speak on this case today?
I'm Philip Donnell, 914 Maple Hill Road. If you've been in Lebanon for a long time, you'll know the Donnell farm out on Maple Hill Road, and you'll know the fight that I've had on my hands, and I really didn't want to get involved in this. But I've been going to a lot of meetings, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the other night when the county commission voted on the budget, it seems like we were taking money from 2028 to vote on that budget. Was that accurate? Did I hear?
Maybe 2027, maybe.
2027?
According to Glenn, 2027 and 2028.
Is it? I'm hearing 2027, 2028.
It's not my wheelhouse,
He's on
sir.
commission. I don't think he knows.
That would not be true.
It's not true.
Live budget to budget, and the accusations of things that we didn't approve this year because they didn't do a tax increase that would have to be addressed next year will have to be addressed in some way next year, whether that be
Would they
we take
get it
all
or
the
not?
growth money and we put it towards those needs, or we take growth money and put it towards pay.
Okay.
So we only live budget to budget. We can't take money we don't have yet.
And we live on growth money.
Absolutely, and I get it. But
This out, and we
but-
won't have any more growth money. Remember that too.
I understand that. But
Probably wouldn't let you do that anyway.
But what I do know is that all our trash is going to Smith County right now, and I know that we're kind of in a shouting match between city and county right now over wastewater, and it was almost embarrassing what I witnessed last night over there. I really, if I was having any input whatsoever, I'd ask to slow down until we can get some of the things right and fix the problems that we have. This is adding to schools. Every bit of rain that hits the ground is going somewhere. I clean our farm up from Barton's Creek, Palmer's Branch, Horn Springs Branch that ends up on our farm. Every piece of plastic, every glass bottle, every piece of trash that hits the road ends up draining into our tributaries and heading to the river. We have a lot of growth. We have a lot of people here. We have a lot of people coming here. And I've heard rural character. There's reasons people are coming here. Just let's pump the brakes a little bit. I mean, honestly, I don't, I would never want y'all's job. It's a lot to be put on your shoulders, but I ask that you just consider the school systems, the roadways. I mean, Bradshaw Road out to Bates Road is one of my favorite cheat routes, heading across the river. It's a beautiful drive out there instead of going up to 109 heading out.
Your time's up, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, sir.
How you guys doing? Shelby Blackstock, I'm the property owner. It's been a heck of a couple, 3 or 4 years of this process with all of us. I want to refresh everybody's memory of why we're here. In the last year of February 2025, we did get our last plan approved. Since then, the PUD language has changed. I do want to remind everybody that's the reason why we're here. We were continuing on with our old plan. Since that changed, this is as far as I can take this plan. This is my first project, and it's too big for us to take on from there. We're handing it over to people that we heavily trust and we've done business with. But the biggest thing is the language changed. So if we hand it off over the old plan, the next group's going to be right back in here Monday morning talking to you guys about this new, or just trying to get close to the new PUD language. So we proposed this back exactly to the letter, no variances, exactly kind of how the county's written it up. So just wanted to remind everybody that's kind of why we're here. We're not trying to shoot for the moon. We're way below the density level. And again, this is my family's property. Again, it's been my property since '93. I've loved the land. I love the property. I love the area. I want to try to send it off the best way possible. And I'm again trying to do this again like we did this in February 2025. Kind of like Caleb said back then, it was unintended consequences. Kind of back in the same boat here. So just wanted to clear all that out and thank you guys for the time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today? If not, we'll close the public comment period. And I would ask if we have any questions from our board.
Yeah, actually, I got a few, I guess. So this is like my first PUD, so I'm going to ask some questions that y'all probably already know. I just want to clear it up for myself. So I guess when they do a PUD, they get 1.75 times 100% of the land.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But I guess the goal of this is to preserve more land, right?
There's a minimum preservation aspect. You must preserve 30% of the property, and there's language in that PUD that preservation cannot be part of your septic system or soil systems. If you're on sewer, it cannot be part of your water quality or water detention areas, and it cannot have active amenities. It is to remain as it is seen today.
Okay.
And that's 30% of any PUD, regardless of the size of the parent parcel.
That includes the road infrastructure, is that correct?
That would include, yeah, you cannot have road infrastructure on that. The only thing that is allowed in that preservation aspect would be some sort of passive trail system if the developer wanted to do pedestrian circulation routes through the natural features.
Like a
greenway or anything like that, yes, sir.
So, but I guess what I don't understand is the 1.75. So like, they build less roads, right, when they cluster it, and less facilities.
Yes.
And they get more homes too. So they're in it less money, but then get more homes as well. Is that how I understand it?
Well, the PUD allows more homes per acre, yes. So you're going to get more homes on less infrastructure. If that's the question, I don't.
Well, I just like when you cluster it. I mean, you're building. I mean, the way I look at it is like, getting a road there is less road frontage, right, to get there.
Right. So you're still on the PUD. You're not talking about the cluster provisions. You're still talking about just clustering homes within the PUD?
I guess so.
Okay. Well, we have both. I just want to make sure I'm answering correctly. So, like, kind of piggybacking off of cluster provisions, we allow developers to choose lot sizes, which the PUD allows that as well. That allows the developer less infrastructure on more homes on less infrastructure, but the intent of that is also part of having less disturbed total acreage overall. So it's also less infrastructure for the developer to build, but in the 20 to 30 year time period, it's less infrastructure for the county to maintain as well.
Okay. But I guess I heard what's confusing is like before it was like more of a 50-50 balance, but now I'm hearing 30% is just.
Well, the 50-50 balance that they're referring to, that was 100% a developer commitment on that original PUD. The 30-70 balance that is now, that is a flat out requirement on our new PUD. The original conservation commitment was just a commitment. There was no teeth to it. Now it does hold up with that original PUD because the developer committed to that, and we do have that in writing, but that wasn't a requirement of that PUD.
But I guess thinking of that, I mean, it decreased then ultimately.
Yes, from their original proposal, yes, sir.
That's acre-wise, Christopher.
Um,
What was the original?
I think their original proposal was actually 40%, 46%. So of the 406 acres, you're probably looking at 190-ish. And now it's down to 130, I believe.
All right, thank you.
And I just one more, I guess, for the engineer, just, I guess, what was it mainly, like he talked about the owner, was it just mainly the PUD that drove the whole 30% increase? Like, before everything was fine, right, that y'all had put into place, but the whole reason for this is just the new PUD? Is that what I understand? Like, for y'all coming up here today and getting more homes, I guess?
I mean, definitely the new PUD regulations, and helped us make this decision, and also meeting with potential end users and seeing where the market was and whatnot, made us kind of get the lot mix that you see, but also we had private roads, we had on-street parking, we had a lot of things in the original PUD that we had to get variances for. When the new PUD ordinance came out, we could reasonably meet everything in that ordinance and not have to ask for any variances. And so that was also a part of the rationale to go ahead and fall underneath the new PUD ordinance.
That it, Houston?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from our board?
I guess my question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Turner.
So they could not have met, the old plan did not meet the old PUD language before we amended the PUD?
It got through with variances, but at a base level, no. Is that what you're asking? No, at the base level, at the original submittal level, without variances, it did not meet the language in the original PUD, no.
The language from a density standpoint, just not like setbacks and things, right?
Setbacks, road network,
Density variance given, right?
no density variance, no.
I guess my biggest thing is they came in here and wowed us with this thing when we approved it. I mean, they talked about, we spent 20 minutes talking about what kind of community it was gonna be. My vote was to approve it based on the type of development it was gonna be. Now, I feel like, not necessarily a bait and switch like Mr. McFarland said, but more so of and I know they're saying they're aligning with the PUD language, but, I don't know, I just don't get a very good feel for what we approved, and now we're jumping to this.
Any other questions?
I do, Christopher. I'm not having any conversations about 10 acres. I don't need 10 acres to take care of out there.
Okay.
I have no use for that.
Land dedication is a requirement of the PUD. I did meet with the commissioner, and I think he had some of the same feeling. You can approve it absent the land dedication requirement, but they have to at least propose it on the front end. But the planning commission or the county commission could opt to not accept the 10 acres if you feel like it's going to be a burden on the county.
Yeah, I have no public works. I have nobody to go maintain it, and I have no need for it. Yeah.
You can approve it, yeah.
Not running on an existing road would certainly devalue it to the county.
That option is there in some of these instances. We have another land dedication on a PUD that hasn't broke ground yet. But like the minimum land dedication that we require in the PUD is 2 acres, and that's because in my conversations with WEMA, that's the minimum of what they need for a fire hall. Not to say that we're going to need to build a fire hall, but we will always have that option with PUDs going forward if there's a public infrastructure need out there. And it doesn't have to be a fire hall. It can be anything that the county sees fit for a public need out there. But you can approve it absent that land dedication if you choose so.
Well, since it's got to be dedicated, but we're not accepting it, in the future, if we wanted to, we can't?
No. If you approve it absent of that dedication, that is off the table completely for the life of the PUD, which would be 24 months if they don't pull the trigger.
Mayor, you're saying just, we don't need it.
You say,
They have to propose it based off.
it's not a part of the deal for me either way.
Yeah.
And I don't need 10 acres. I got to go maintain, and I have no use for it out there. And so, and I had no conversation with anybody about the 10 acres. So it kind of, when you present the case, it's kind of like, well, we want this approved because we're giving you 10 acres, and that's not been the case at all. I've had no conversation.
No, it would never be a bearing of approval, but our language in our PUD ordinance, they at least have to propose it. Now, you all can approve it absent that if you don't want the burden at this point. But it does give you the option if there is some sort of need to accept it. But you can approve it absent that. There's no issue with that.
And that's kind of why I used the language if accepted. Obviously, I realize the county has to accept it, but we, as Christopher mentioned, we had to propose it, so.
Do we have any? Yes, sir, Mr. Turner.
New master plan. If we approve this, the master plan that exists goes away.
That's correct.
Well, the county commission would have to approve it, but yes, ultimately the old one would go away if the county commission approves this master plan. You all are just recommending it to the county commission.
Any other questions from our board? It gets kind of quiet without Mr. Renfro here. So.
He's doing a pretty good job stepping up.
I get him on the phone for you.
Okay. Having no more question, I would call for a motion. We're not having a lot of luck here, Christopher. What happens if we don't make a recommendation?
Well, you can defer it, but you have to make this is controversial. You can send it to the county commission without a recommendation, and I think you're all aware of the view that gives. You can send it with a positive recommendation or a negative recommendation, or you can defer it a month and bring it up next month. But you have to vote it up, down, or send it without a recommendation in some fashion.
We have a job to do. We need to.
You have to issue some sort of recommendation.
I'm going to make a motion that we defer this to the next meeting. I have some stormwater questions I'd like to get addressed. I'd like for the mayor to have a real opportunity to think about this land donation, what potential it has. And we'll hear this again next month.
I'll second that motion.
That was second by Mr. Turner. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. And do you know what that date is, Christopher?
July 17th.
July 17th. It will be heard again on July 17th.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Good job.
Can you reiterate those questions so I can be sure to follow up with you all? It's drainage concerns and land dedication?
Those are my.
Okay.
Yes.
Let him take us a minute.
Christopher, do you want to take a break now?
I'd like to get through site plans if possible.
Okay. So we're going to wait a couple of minutes and let some folks get going. This time we'll call our meeting back to order.
You know, we flew away at 8 something. I should have got
I only need Jason.
Christopher, I think we're now ready for the site plans to be presented.
There's people down there.
I'll come and see you.
Well, there's people.
I think so.
You want to talk?
What's that?
Down there now.
Oh, okay, I'll go see.
Are you ready, sir?
We are, and I have been asked by a member of the audience that if you are speaking, please speak directly in your microphone so they can hear a little bit better. But yes, we are ready for site plans, I believe now, Christopher.
Okay. The first site plan on the agenda is the final of the Speedway Industrial Park Phase 2. This is Lot 16, a re-subdivision of Lot 15. This is 2308 and 2450 Gwynn Road. This plat meets requirements. Staff can recommend approval. This is for the additional building that's going on at Speedway. They had 2 tracks that they had purchased. They have to combine those because we do not allow commercial structures over property lines.
Can you tell me what kind of residential stuff's directly around it, Christopher?
Now none. They just purchased the last 2 on this portion of the road. So the nearest residential to these properties now would be directly to the north of them across Gwynn Road. They are maintaining there's not a lot, but they are maintaining the existing established vegetation that those residential homes had along Gwynn Road, and then they will be required to reinforce that buffer along the Gwynn Road section where there are gaps. But they are maintaining the established vegetation, which are some older growth oaks there along the road frontage of Gwynn.
All right, thank you. Who do we have here to represent this case today?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Connexton with Panatone Development Company. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak on this case today? Do we have any questions from our board? If not, I'll call for a motion.
Motion to approve based on staff recommendation.
We have a motion to approve, Ms. Weathers, to approve based on staff recommendation. Second by Mr. Woods. All those in favor vote aye. Aye. Those opposed, that motion will carry. We'll move over to the site plan for the Speedway Industrial Park Building 16.
Yes, so this is the site plan that accompanies those 2 tracks that you just approved, combining those 2 lots. With technical corrections, staff can recommend approval of this commercial structure.
Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on these cases today? Okay. Any questions from our board? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve based on staff recommendations.
We have a motion, Mr. Turner, to approve based on staff recommendations. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Ash. All those in favor vote aye. Aye. And those opposed, that motion will carry. We're ready for the site plan for the Couchville Crossing.
Yeah, you all do not need to take action on this next one. The applicant has withdrawn this request. They are relocating and rebranding that sign. It will be resubmitted on your next month's agenda, but they have withdrawn their initial request. They are going to reconfigure the way that sign is located on the property. No action needed. Next one is the site plan for the Transportation Charter Services, TCS, located at 6700 East Old Murfreesboro Road. With technical corrections, staff can recommend approval. This, which you all know this site as, was originally approved as Hydrovac. It was probably 2018 or 2019. It was pre-COVID whenever it originally got approved. That site has been sold since to Bass Trucking, and now I believe has been sold to TCS. They are a charter bus company. They are going to meet the commercial standards with the paving and parking requirements, and that's why this site plan is here before you today, is the parking requirements. And they're also proposing the access onto Highway 231 to hopefully get the majority of traffic for that off of Old Murfreesboro Road.
Does this site plan eliminate that access to Old Murfreesboro Road?
It does not eliminate it. It is still there, but it's hopefully going to be used as a secondary access, not the primary.
Okay. All right. Who do we have here to represent this case today?
Kramer Toggle with Warren and Toggle Civil Engineering, here to answer any questions you might have.
Any potential to get rid of the access off Old Murfreesboro Road?
Well, this went to BOZA in February, and that did require that all bus traffic go onto the highway. Yes. So we could eliminate that and still have adequate function to the site. Yes, sir.
Is this a spinoff of the other bus company that's down
across the street?
No, sir. No relation.
No relation.
No, sir.
Okay.
Y'all look like brother.
So you're willing to commit to getting rid of that access?
Yes, sir. We can eliminate that, and I think all the access will be coming from the highway anyway, so that should not be an issue.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else here wishing to speak on this case? Yes, ma'am.
While she's walking up, when and if you all make a motion of this, that needs to be specifically stated in the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Blair Zinker. I live on Old Murfreesboro Road, just right down the road from here. I actually didn't come to speak about this. I came to speak about the land use plan. But since this is on the docket, I would like to know, is there any potential for fixing the road that has been destroyed by hydrovac in that area? I know that's not you guys, but the road has been, it's washing out. They have been using that road. Also, the structure that they built, they did add on to, and I think that it's actually over the allowed amount of structure for what was approved by the commission for that area. So is there a potential for getting that road fixed?
I can address a couple. I can't address all of it. The road, I don't have any purview over the road. That would be the road commission, and I don't know if there's a bond still on hold for the construction of the road. The structure that you're referring to, it does appear that they added onto it. That is just by looks, though. We required them to rip off the front facade of that building because it was never built to the commercial standards that were approved, and all they did for that was rip off the metal facade and put in the masonry requirement on the commercial side. They did not add any square footage to what was originally approved. I know it did appear that way because there was underpinning showing, but that was us going back in on them, telling them that they had to remove that metal and add the masonry facade.
So the building was not added on to, it's just...
The building did not add any additional square footage. We did require them to bring it into commercial compliance, though, and that was an on-standing argument that took 2 years, but we did get them to remedy that.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today?
Mrs. Zinker.
From our board. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Mayor.
Mrs. Zinker, if you give me your number, I'll work with the road commission on that road, and I'll get in touch with you.
618-841-192.
Everybody's gonna call you now.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I got a lot of opinions.
Do we have anyone else, any more questions from our board?
I do ask one more thing. Christopher, if you could make sure that these people get in touch with me about the road,
Okay.
people of this development.
Yes, I can get them in touch with you.
Thank you.
Seeing none, I will make a motion that we approve, based on staff recommendation, and the developer committing to eliminate the access road to Old Murfreesboro Road, and make that part of my motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second from Ms. Weathers. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed? That motion will carry.
The record reflect I abstained to that.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize that, Jeffrey. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Turner abstained. We're ready for the final for the Meg Wright property on Canesville Road.
Yes, this is located at 8081 Canesville Road. With technical corrections, staff can recommend approval. This is 9 lots. The preliminary came before you 2 months ago.
Okay. Who do we have here to represent this case today? Seeing none, do we have any questions from our crowd? Do we have any questions from our board? If not, I'll call for a motion.
Motion approved based on staff recommendation.
We have a motion to approve from Ms. Weathers to approve based on staff recommendations. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second from Mr. Turner. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed? That motion will carry. We're ready for the final for the Riverbend Nashua Properties LLC on McQuarrie Road.
Yes, sir. This is similar to your first applicant you had on that. This is McCreary Road. This is Riverbend Natural Properties LLC. They are combining lots, so their proposed commercial structures will not be across property lines. With technical corrections, staff can recommend approval.
Who do we have here to represent this case today? Yes, sir.
My name is Matt Lawrence. I'm with Pape Dawson, just here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we have any questions from our board? If not, I'll call for a motion.
Motion to approve based on staff recommendation.
Motion to approve based on staff recommendations from Mr. Ash. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Woods. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed? That motion will carry. Christopher, we have several plats for affirmation.
We do. I'm going to do this in two phases. I need to do this in two phases. I'm going to do the first one. This will be business as usual, and then I'll point out the second one. But the first one that I need to do is the minor plat of the Anderson property, which is the second on your list. It's located at 700 General Kershaw Road. That is going into two lots, being map 51N, Group B, parcel 24 and 2501. The re-subdivision of the Billy Jack Tubb property on Bradshaw Road, which is one lot, map 26, parcel 2.01 and 2.02. The re-subdivision of the portion of the Louise Alsop property, lot 7, 181 Dude Trail. This is into two lots, being map 135, parcel 11.15, and the amendment to the Glen Oaks subdivision, lots 34 and 35, located at 500 Idlewood Court, being map 31N, Group A, parcel 2.00.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone here wishing to speak on any of these cases today? Any questions from our board? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Mr. Ash, do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Weathers. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
All right, the last platformation is the boundary survey of the Colby Greer property. That's located at 3820 Cairo Bend Road. That is one lot, being map 26, parcel 39.01. That approval, typically we wouldn't have this issue, but BOZA is after Planning Commission this month and only this month due to the Juneteenth holiday. That approval will need to be subject to a variance given by the Board of Zoning Appeals, and they are on the agenda for tomorrow, but that request would need to be subject to that, or you can defer it till next month. But it's going to hinge, the approval needs to hinge on a.
Can you tell us exactly what they're doing?
It is a setback variance is what they're asking for from BOZA for an existing shed, I believe.
Deferred 30 days to BOZA hears it. It just seems to me like that'd be the right thing, instead of us approving it subject to them voting on it. And
Is that a motion, sir?
yes, it is.
Have a motion to defer to the next meeting for July 17th. We have a second from Mr. Woods. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed?
Diane.
It won't be the 17th, though.
I think that's what they told us.
That's what planning is. July 16th.
It's coming before planning.
But when you send it to Bossier.
No, it'll be on BOZA tomorrow.
Yeah, so it will be the 17th.
That's true. Excuse me.
Okay. We are now ready to move into our land use plan proposal. Chris,
Yes.
we will start with you, sir.
I'm going to bring Jessica Hill in from GNRC real quick. She's going to give a similar synopsis to what we did last month at the work session. It's a 10 to 12 minute kind of an overview of everything for the people that were not at that meeting as well, just to kind of clarify everything. And then we'll get into any questions you all have in public comment. But let me get her real quick.
Fair enough. She's scared to come in.
I'm gonna first.
Good morning.
Jessica.
Evening.
Good evening. I'm sorry. No, you're here.
I guess it's the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I know y'all have been here a very long time as well, so I appreciate your time. My name is Jessica Hill. I'm the Director of Community and Regional Planning at the Greater Nashville Regional Council, and we've been privileged to help Wilson County Planning Commission and the staff update your 2006 Master Land Use Plan.
Yes, Jessica, you speak in that just a little bit more.
Little more.
People back here in the back can hear you.
I'm going to be right up on it. All right. So I think, Naomi, you are moving my slides for me. Can you go ahead? Just to give you an overview of what I'll be talking about today, I want to give you an introduction to Plan Wilson, briefly explain the process that we began back in the spring of 2022, and then hit a few of the key highlights of the plan. I won't go through it page by page. I know many of y'all in this room did. So next slide, Naomi. And just as a reminder, the current plan was originally adopted in 2006. It is called the Wilson County Gateway Land Use Master Plan. It was adopted by the Planning Commission in 2006 and then later adopted by the county commissioners. It focused on 8 gateways in the county, and when it was originally adopted, there were 5 future land use categories included: low and high density residential, commercial, rural preservation area, and preserved green space. And then through subsequent amendments, some additional categories were added to that, your existing plan today. So I just wanted to provide that in the context as we go through what's being presented with the Plan Wilson update. So next slide. So I know many of you are familiar with the fast pace of growth. If you don't know the exact number, I'm sure you've experienced it. So since 2010, over 281 people have moved to the county each month, which is about a 30% increase in population. And related to that are the increases in housing and in jobs. And so this is really what has driven the update to your 2006 plan, is recognizing that significant change has occurred and that there is significant change on the horizon still, looking out into the future, that the update was needed to manage the growth that you all are expecting. So Plan Wilson looks out to 2045, and it looks at what the current trends are for population and job growth. And so, again, there's been a 30% increase in population since 2010 to today, but by 2045, we're expecting over 250,000, right about 257,000 people are expected to live in the county out in 20 years, and that's a 74% increase from the 2020 numbers. Now, in the unincorporated area, which is y'all's purview, that growth is vastly different. That the same 4% is the total county. In the unincorporated area, your population growth trend is around 130%. So much. There's a lot of demand out in the unincorporated county. So when we look at where we anticipate that growth occurring, one of the first steps was to model the population forecasts using today's development regulations. So the maps that are being presented on the slides represent where jobs and people are likely to occur based off your adopted regulations, I guess, as of when we started 2023. So the darker blue is the higher densities of people and jobs. And in 2045, you can see many of the rural area of the unincorporated county, that lighter green, start to expand outward and really almost cover the entirety of Wilson County out into 2045. So this is representing if you were to continue using the current regulations that you have in place. So what is Plan Wilson? It was a process to engage your residents, businesses, and other stakeholders in defining and updating your vision for the future. It was to create a shared vision and address important issues that affect the community, while identifying areas where the county and the community supported that future growth and development pattern and what that looked like, but also identifying those areas that there was a desire to preserve or protect as open space or farmland. So the planning area, just as a reminder, is the unincorporated area of the county, and the county is about 365,000 acres total. 83% of that is unincorporated, while 17% is in the municipal limits. So Plan Wilson focuses again on that 83% of the unincorporated county on guiding growth and development in those areas. Now it does look at the areas that are in the UGB and the PGAs. All right. So getting into the process. So again, we started this back in 2022, but we paused while the county and the municipalities worked out the UGB boundary update, and then we resumed. So there was no confusion between the two purposes and outcomes of what is essentially a planning effort. So Plan Wilson is the result of a community-focused planning process that, again, sought to establish a shared vision of future growth among residents, businesses, developers, and elected officials. And throughout the process, participants acknowledged that Wilson County will continue to grow, and they expressed a strong desire to manage that growth in an intentional and responsible manner. So that is what we hope is reflected in Plan Wilson. The planning process, it was structured in 3 phases. Each phase built upon the previous one. The first phase, again, paused for a year and a half, 2 years, but resumed in spring of 2024. And that was really around listening to understand what were the concerns and issues of the community, and identify those priorities, what they wanted and hoped for the future, and what the values and expectations for the process were. Phase 2 was around brainstorming and thinking, what if we changed and did it different? And so that process built on the vision and the values that were established in Phase 1 and presented alternative scenarios for the public to review and provide comment on. And that provided the direction for the place type map and those descriptions, and then the actions that were developed in Phase 3, the recommendations, and brainstorming, how do we change and implement the community's vision through this process. So to give you an idea of the numbers, and I want to emphasize that one of the key groups that guided and helped inform and develop Plan Wilson was a steering committee. You can go to the next slide. And that steering committee met, well, at least with me and GNRC, at least 10 times, but I know they met additional times after the last round of the public meeting. And there were 11 steering committee members, and they helped receive information, review the input from the community, and provide direction to our team to develop the plan. Also, an intergovernmental coordination task force group met twice, and those were staff from the municipalities and the utilities to help ensure that the plan was aligned with their plans for growth and development and investments in their systems. And then there were 4 meetings or work sessions with planning commissioners and the county commissioners so that they had chances to provide their input on the draft products of Plan Wilson. And then public outreach included multiple points of contact through surveys, public meetings. Presentations were given to civic organizations, and through 4 online surveys, there were over 2,000 plus survey responses. So in total, across all of that, there were 29 meetings and events. 600 people came out to those meetings and events, and 2,178 people submitted a survey response. And the map presented there shows the breakdown of participation of the pins of people that were at meetings, and then the blue color coding is the survey responses by zip code in the background. In addition, news stations I know picked up and shared the information about the planning process, when the events were public events were occurring, and those meetings were held in Gladeville, next slide, Mount Juliet, Watertown, Tucker's Crossroads, and Lebanon. So we attempted to provide as many opportunities and convenient locations for people and the public to participate and have their voices heard. So how this impacted the development of Plan Wilson. Next slide. Public and stakeholder participation through the process led to several adjustments and improvements along the way. Those included refinements of the goals and objectives, optimization of the place type, the locations, the boundaries, the descriptions, those characteristics, identification of the centers and corridors. We did make some changes to the ones that were in the 2006 plan, and then helped us narrow down the recommended actions and implementation strategies that are presented in Plan Wilson. So to give you an example of how community input impacted the place type, because I believe that was where this group, the steering committee, spent a lot of their time and effort. It started with listening to the public through the scenario workshops with the output of a focus or desire for a more centers and corridors approach, in combination with the input from planning commissioners and county commissioners of what we call the degrees of change. So the places where they wanted to see growth occur, places where they didn't, and places that could just maintain or be nurtured. That fed into over 7+ rounds, I want to say, of the place type map revisions and 4 rounds or iterations of the definitions. You can go back, sorry, Naomi. And then in addition, last year in the fall, the public had an opportunity to provide their input on the place type map descriptions and the full plan document. And I believe there were 5 to 6 revisions from that public input that resulted in the map and the descriptions that are presented in Plan Wilson today. All right, next slide. So now I'll provide an overview of the organization of Plan Wilson and the major components that will help guide staff and Planning Commissioner y'all's recommendations and decisions into the future. So there are 5 primary chapters. The 6 is glossary and definitions and acronyms, because you know us planners love acronyms. But the chapter 1, just to give an explanation of each chapter's purpose. Chapter 1 is really an introduction to the plan, its purpose, and its authority. Chapter 2 is a presentation of the existing conditions and trends that were considered and helped inform the process and key components of the plan. Chapter 3 is the community's hope for the future presented in a vision statement and growth framework, which includes that place type future land use map and those descriptions. Chapter 4 is really around the recommendations for action and implementation to help guide day-to-day decisions. And Chapter 5 is the implementation and next steps and maintaining the plan out into the future. So to give you a just broad organization, I know I've provided an organization of the chapters, but to help you understand how the plan was approached, next slide, we looked at it from a framework of a vision serving the broad overview, providing that broad direction, organized around 4 goals that are narrow that vision or disperse that vision, and then guiding principles which are more near-term objectives, and then actions that are specific policies, actions, or steps that the county or staff can implement that move towards the vision of the community. So the vision statement is very similar to what was included in the 2006 master plan. The vision statement is forward-looking, it's aspirational, and it's rooted in the voices of the residents. The majority of what we heard from the community was farmland preservation and agricultural and rural landscape preservation. So the vision statement reflects that in combination with knowing that growth is occurring. So I'll read it. I know y'all have read it multiple times, but provide directions for the new growth to maximize economic opportunities while preserving the agricultural lands and open spaces and conserving natural resources and historic features of Wilson County. So again, how the vision statement is implemented through the growth framework, there are 4 elements of the growth framework. So next slide, Naomi. They are, and these are I'll reference these because they are maps that are presented in that chapter. And they are the degrees of change map, which represents the speed, the rate at which you want to change in specific areas. The place type map, which represents the what and where. And your transportation priorities, so those projects that are already identified in either the state or the regional transportation planning organizations' plans, but then also those gateways and centers, so those nodes of activity that are important or those gateways into the county that we know are going to grow. So next slide. So I'm going to briefly hit each one of those, and I'm happy to take any questions that you all may have as we go through, but Plan Wilson place type map. This is not meant, I'm going to say this first, not meant to be a zoning districts. It's not a zoning map and it's not a description of any of your zoning districts. There are 12 place types. They are intended to serve and guide as developers or property owners come in and seek rezonings to your current zoning map. So it helps inform staff's recommendations and the Planning Commission's decisions as you're deciding those day-to-day site plans and zoning amendments. That is the purpose of this plan. It represents the areas that the community would like to see develop, how it develops, and the types of development or activities that may occur. In combination, there are descriptions of each of these place types. Those are intended to be broad. They don't list every specific land use activity that is reserved for the zoning map. This is intended to give, again, a general direction and guidance as you're making those day-to-day decisions with amendments coming in. Next slide. And then activity centers and gateways. So this was a primary feature of the 2006 plan, and it's been carried through. So there are 2 interchange gateways that are in the plan. They are the Tucker's Crossroads interchange at I-40 and the I-40 and Stewart's Ferry Pike interchange right there at the Rutherford County line. There are 5 rural gateways, and those are 231 at south near the Rutherford line, Highway 141 up at the Trousdale County line, Hobsonville Pike and Davidson. I should have done these in order. I apologize. Highway 70 Carthage at Smith County. I guess your west is that way. And then 231 Hunters Point and Trousdale, so another north one. And then 2 emerging centers, which are Watertown and the Highway 109 at Sumner County. And each of these gateways has specific intended purposes, levels of intensity, which are explained in more detail in Plan Wilson. The other element is transportation improvements, and I know this caused some concern in the community. This is only a presentation of the existing projects that have been proposed and are in the TDOT statewide transportation plan and or in the Nashville Metropolitan Planning Organization, the MPO's regional transportation plan, which is a long-range plan. So these do not represent the county superintendent's investments or priorities. This only represents those projects that are shared across regional and the state. And then getting into chapter 4, so this is where we start talking about the recommendations and the implementation. Predicting the future is difficult, which makes planning for it challenging. And you're making these decisions about issues we can't foresee today. So we want to provide, through the plan, a guide and framework for implementation and maintenance. And so the plan structure around 4 goals, 23 guiding principles, and 34 recommendations go from very near term to long term and provide that framework as staff and planning commissioners are making decisions, knowing that these decisions are day to day, but the plan looks out 20 plus years. And with that, through the implementation, the success of the plan is determined by everyday decisions. Next slide. Those decisions and recommendations when reviewing, approving, and adopting regulations, policies, making investments in the community, that implementation is achieved by updating the land use and design regulations, funding transportation infrastructure and utility systems. I know that's outside the purview of the Planning Commission, but helping to inform those investments, conducting small area studies that may be necessary, and coordinating and collaborating with your partners, whether they be within the county, within a municipality, or the utilities themselves. And then finally, in that last but not least, which was a very important component for the steering committee, is the updates and amendments and reviewing the plan on an annual and set timeline. So the plan looks out again to 2045, and a fast-growing community such as Wilson County will need to revisit and update the plan regularly. Annual reviews are set into the recommendations of the plan with four-year incremental more wholesale review and updates, so that every 5 years this document is touched and updated and ensured that it remains consistent with the changing times. We seem to be having lots of different types of development coming into Tennessee, and staying on top of that and having a document that guides you in those decisions is really important. So this provides the opportunity to make sure that the plan serves its purpose. The Planning Commission is responsible for updating and amending the land use plan, but any person can come before and request an amendment to the plan. And with that, I'll conclude, and I can take any questions you all may have.
I'm sure we're going to need you, so don't get too far away. Christopher, do you have any further input you want to inject at this time, or do you want to go straight into public?
Not at this time. I'm sure there will be questions that need to be answered after, but not at this time, no, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Miss. Okay. Anyone wishing to speak on this case, if you would, please come forward. We are going to limit our comments to 3 minutes. And if we can just hold everything down, we'll try to get through this as quick as we can, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll be brief. Hey, my name is Kevin Mack. I live at 2343 Bend Green Road in Lebanon. That's in the Tucker's Crossroads area. Thank you, Commissioner Jones, or Chairman Jones, for allowing me to speak and address the board. I had the pleasure of sitting in on the steering committee meeting that was developing the land use plan, and Commissioner Bowman did a great job chairing that, and it was kind of like herding cats at times, but she did a really good job. And I think they've come up with a great plan. This plan has been fussed and discussed and prayed over, and it's a really good plan. I do have one small, tiny recommendation that I would make. Chairman Jones already knows what it is. Sheriff Ash knows what it is.
I saw it on TV a couple of nights.
Yes, yeah. So, and I'll be brief. It has to do with one of those place types that the presenter was just talking about, called rural living. Rural living is a template that's pressed down over agricultural land. There's about 70,000 acres that we're talking about. And it has to do with and this plan is important. As she said, it's trying to give intentional, well thought out guidance to future planning decisions and zoning decisions as well. But the county commission, after a lot of work, declared that the minimum lot size in A1 agricultural, which is most of what this land is, at 2 acres. They moved it from 1 acre to 2. Actually, I think it went to 80,000 square feet, which is just shy of 2 acres. But nevertheless, 2 acre minimum in agricultural. But this agricultural place type template that we're talking about, rural living, has a minimum lot type of 1 acre. And so I would just ask that this plan be approved. I think it's a great plan. I think a lot of hard work went into it. But with that one adjustment, that the place type called rural living have a minimum lot size change from 1 acre to 2 acres. That's all I've got to say. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Sir.
Thanks for your hard work.
Yes, sir.
Frank Land, I'm a 3102 Leeville Road. I've got a cattle ranch there that I think is in the high density development area. So good luck for me on that, I guess. The reason I'm not in politics and never have been is I wind up speaking for people who don't have a voice, is what I generally wind up doing. And I'll pick on the gentleman in the front row over here. There's a whole lot of gray hair in this room. And the reason is most everybody here, yeah, that's you, yeah, that's you. Most everybody here has theirs. You wouldn't be interested very much in how land develops if you don't have land, and they're blessed. Some of us are even more blessed. I've got enough land to give to my children. It don't make no difference what size you put on it. My kids are going to have a place to go, and there's a lot of farmers in here, ranchers, that are in the same situation. But when I was fortunate enough, blessed enough to do that, I decided that I'd never hold it against somebody else to do the best they could. If that meant they lived in a trailer next door to me, that was going to be okay with me. If that meant they had little lots, that was going to be okay with me. And I don't want the people who are not heard to not have a voice here today. I know you have to restrict things. I get it. The question is, what are the unintended consequences? Lots are going to be harder to find. Lots are going to be bigger. I promise you, bigger lots build bigger houses. They don't have 5-acre lots in Wilson County with 1,250 square foot houses on them. Housing prices will be the direct unintended consequence of your decision to restrict lots. The more you restrict them, the higher the price is going to go. 5-acre lots are selling in the area I'm at between $500,000 and $700,000 in the last month. And the unintended consequence is we have people here from Knoxville and Chicago and other places. They're going to be the ones who can afford to buy the houses here. I'm not saying you shouldn't restrict it. I'm saying there is a consequence to it. There is a cost to that. And our children will not be able to afford to live here unless you're blessed like I have been and can afford that, or you have the money to buy those more expensive homes on more expensive lots. And I wanted to take a chance to say that matters. And those people aren't represented here because I bet everybody in here owns a piece of land. And there was one lady bought a house, she didn't want somebody to have one just like it next to her. That hurts. Lastly, I know this thing kind of almost got kicked off and they tried to drop a development on the Linwood Road exit where Brother Neil runs his cattle. I get it. Can't have it everywhere. It makes perfect sense not to do that. This land use plan does one last thing, and I'm going to quit, I promise. We have an interstate exit, Couchville Pike, where the county spent, somebody will know how much we spent putting a sewer out through there. And we have a sewer running down Couchville Pike. And we've moved the land use plan into the interstate, leaving sewers where one side of the road is facing huge warehouses with a county sewer that's only for industrial purposes and no ability to commercially develop it. We got to make money somewhere to feed the county. If you're going to restrict it in Linwood, which makes sense, I mean, dropping it in the middle of the county and the middle of a rural area didn't make any sense to me either. But here we have huge developments. And I'm just going to say political reasons, it's pushed in closer and leaving that sewer dangling out there that the county spent all the money off the exit does not offset it. There are unintended consequences to your decision, and I'm done. Thank you, sir.
Your time.
I was about to get thrown out. I hope I didn't create any more animosity. We've had enough.
Man. Good Lord.
Yes, sir.
Luke Myers, 575 Corinth Road.
Since my time is limited, I'd like to share a few points with the land use plan concerning and it pertains to the Gladeville area mostly. Everywhere you read in this draft, it says the same key points. It says protect quality of life, manage growth, maintain natural, historic, agricultural character, and invest in infrastructure that will allow this quality of life to continue for the next 20 years. The unfortunate part for me is that I'm here to represent the area, according to this plan, is the hardest decisions pertaining to the growth where it's being fought the hardest. Most of the people that live in the area that I've talked to since I started campaigning for county commissioner are all wondering the same thing. Where was my opinion on what I see for the Glade represented? I've spoken to over 300 people in Gladeville alone, and I can assure you that they are wondering when they said, I'd love to see more subdivisions in the area, or I can't wait for more traffic down Mount Juliet Road. Not one single person has said that to me, but when I look at this plan, it says the opposite. In this plan, the most alarming map to me was the jurisdictional boundaries and growth areas map. The reason is simple. It says just about everything south of I-40 and west of Highway 231 has been labeled planned growth area. And when you combine that with the expected 100,000 more people expected to move to Wilson County for the next 20 years, it has all of us in the area a little more than just frustrated. Where's the protecting the quality of life, manage growth, and maintaining historical character and all of that? To us in the Glade, we feel that we've been the sacrificial lamb for development. Every time I turn a page and I look at another map, I'm alarmed. I see agricultural landscape. Well, that defines prime ag soils in the county. When you look at their maps, prime ag soil right down the middle of Gladeville, everything from 840 to Percy Priest Lake, is a big wide strip of green called prime ag soils. And this isn't mine. This is what they wrote. Okay? There's just a large green line that's going right through the heart of Gladeville. And then I flip the next page, and another alarming map, flood hazards. Okay? Surprise, surprise, large, wide blue line running straight through the heart of the Glade again. Now, where is the planned growth supposed to happen again? Gladeville. Says it right there in that nice little yellow corner in between 840 and I-40. Now, I've stood up here and talked to all of you many times before about our lack of infrastructure in the area, but I'm not going to sit here and speak on traffic anymore. I'm going to speak on something that we all know has been a big subject lately, which is the sewage. Okay, you've got a sewage treatment facility that represents the Glade area off of Logue Road. And this month alone, they've got 3 violations, just this month alone, 3 violations of ponding water, seepage, all from drip line areas that are having to do with this Logue Road treatment facility. I just ask that everybody just take a second and say, well, if we're going to plan growth in the area, why not we fix the infrastructure that area is relying on as of right now before we move forward? That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, nobody's going to clap for me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
We got that out of the way.
Got that done. All right.
5 of your seconds.
I'm Rusty Thompson, 1835 Holloway Road, Lebanon. I was on the plan 25 years ago, the committee that put together the 1101 plan, the original growth plan for Wilson County. And I was asked and volunteered to be on the current land use development committee. Spent the last 2 years doing so. I listened Monday night to the county commission meeting, and I was a little bit surprised that even though we've had 2 years of meetings and 2 years of work sessions, and we've had all these community meetings and different discussions, there still seems to be some misunderstanding about what actually the plan does and what the plan says. I've heard the comment many times today and many times that this plan allows 1 acre lots in 70,000 acres of Wilson County area, and it does so in contradiction to the wishes of the people in County Commission. That is not correct. It is not so. Secondly, I heard some of the commission, I think, express concerns that their authority to represent their constituents would be somehow undermined by this plan. That's not so. It's just not the fact. The duties and responsibilities of the county commissioners remain exactly the same. They're not changed in any way. And secondly, If there's a 1 acre lot put in the rural area, then it's because the county commission voted to put it there. It takes a rezoning. Many people don't understand, or they're just not aware, that there are two things at play here. The Wilson County zoning ordinance is a law. It is a law that we have, commission adopted it. They're the only folks that can change it. That's it. We can't change it standing here. You can't change it. The commission has to change the ordinance. They also are the only body that can rezone property out in the county. You can recommend, they have to do the rezoning. Plan Wilson is not a law per se. Plan Wilson is a zoning, excuse me, not a zoning, it is a plan set forth as guidance for how the county may develop over the next 20 or 25 years. So Plan Wilson is not something that you're absolutely obligated to. It is a recommendation and can be adopted by the Planning Commission as a guiding document. It's not, the zoning ordinance. So with those two things in mind, let's think a little bit about the rural area. That seems to be what everybody's, very concerned about. If your land is in that rural area, which is that light brown area up there, then, and it's zoned currently A1, then the commission has said as of last November that your minimum lot size is 2 acres. That's what you get, okay? If you're in that area, and I don't think there are very, very many of them, there might be a few, and your land is currently zoned R1, then you can go down to 1 acre. You're not going down, you're there. We didn't take away, or the commission didn't take away, anyone's rights. If you had an R1 lot prior to the committee action, you still have an R1 lot. That's good for 1 acre. I don't think there are very many of them. There may be a few, but if you have it now, or you had it then, you have it now. Thirdly, and that's what I mentioned a few moments ago, if you want to go out into the rural area and have a lot that's less than 2 acres, you want to give it to a child, you want to give it to a friend, you want to give it to your mother-in-law, whatever you want to do with it, or you just want to develop it. The only people that can allow that are your county commissioner. You would have to come to this body for an application. You'd have to get a recommendation. This body would have to vote. It would go to the county commission, and they would, make the ultimate decision. That's just the way it is. And, getting a positive vote now or any time in the near future to do some kind of major change out in the rural area, the way this atmosphere exists, I think that's highly unlikely. The people have said, I think everyone agrees, we're tired. We've fought enough traffic. We've fought enough folks. We're ready to slow down. The commission has cut the density in half. This plan goes a long ways to cut it again. I would urge you to adopt the plan. I also think, and I'll shut up and go follow Frank to the county line, that robust enforcement of our zoning ordinance. We have way too many illegal businesses out in the rural area of the county, too many trucking companies, too many things going on out in the rural areas that don't need to be there. I think adoption of this plan and enforcement of our ordinance in a robust manner would make everyone a lot happier, and I think Wilson County would be long-term wise would be a much better place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Clap for Rusty.
Do what?
Clap for Rusty again.
Yes, ma'am.
This is my first county meeting coming to. My name is Adrema Higgins. I live at 105 Moss Court. I am a Lebanon resident. I taught school in the Lebanon Special School District for 28 years. I'm retired now. I am a caregiver to my mother who has kidney disease. And I'm really concerned about things that I'm seeing within the city of Lebanon. And when I see this growth map, this future land use map, it really bothers me about the rural living areas. I'm not so sure it needs to be called rural living. Should it be called rural agriculture? Are we forgetting that we live in the state of Tennessee that is the agricultural state? I don't want to see the county become a concrete county like the city of Lebanon has become. We got to slow this down a little bit. I'm here to ask you to please consider, instead of having that 1 acre for rural living, please put that as a 2 acre minimum. We got to slow this down. We've got to protect this farmland a little bit better than what we're doing. Please consider sticking to that 2 acre minimum lot size. Please consider, thinking about changing rural living to rural agriculture. We need to protect this farmland. I'm an 8th generation Wilson Countyan. My family moved here from Virginia in 1802 in the Commerce area of Wilson County. Their last names were Barbie. That's my maiden name. So please consider this, because our county means something to me. I've lived here all my life. I was born here. And what I'm seeing happen to Lebanon, it breaks my heart. So please, consider doing something to slow this down, or we're going to become a concrete county. And it's sad. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
My name is Eric Thompson. I have a little bit different message. By the way, it feels very awkward standing on this side after sitting there for 8 years.
Awkward having you there.
I don't want any questions, by the way. Okay? I just want to thank some people. First of all, Greater Nashville, thank you for all your assistance. And I want to thank the Land Use Committee members. I was one of them, but it was made up of some very impressive people, very knowledgeable people. One just spoke. Everybody was fair, conscientious, and I appreciate that. Now, were there arguments? Sure. But was there compromise? Absolutely. And that's what good government's all about, compromise. They should learn that in Washington. I also want to thank our chair lady, Beth Bowman. Beth, thank you very much. Beth did an outstanding job of organizing, and she kept us all in check, even the sheriff. I also want to thank Christopher and his staff for the hours and hours and hours they put in, particularly being frustrated with all the changes that had to be made and so forth over these years and all the meetings. They did a great job, and I appreciate that. This land use plan is an ongoing document. It's not perfect, and it can't be perfect, but it is a sound foundation for future planning in Wilson County. So I urge the Planning Commission to adopt this plan, because I think it's in the best interest of Wilson County. And that's all I have to say. And good luck, and thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're going to represent him again.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Blair Zinker. I own property at 6258 Old Murfreesboro Road that I already talked about. We also own some property on Spring Creek Lane out behind the fairgrounds off of Bluebird. My husband wanted to speak. I'm sorry, I'm a little shaky. Two specific things that I would like to say. I'm a little frustrated with the process. We did go to some of the planning meetings. We did fill out the Be Informed questionnaire so that we could get emails and kind of be in the middle of this process. We never got anything. Never saw anything. From this land use plan, I don't have the booklet that you guys have. I'd love to have a copy of that if I could get a copy of that. But from what we saw in planning meetings, it doesn't look like there's a lot of change. It doesn't seem that there was a lot of change in areas that I heard a lot of people speaking about when I was at the Lebanon meeting or at the Tucker's Crossroads meeting. I'm not seeing a lot of variation in the land use from comments of participants. I feel like that should have I feel like that should have been heard a little bit more. I feel like there should be a little bit more change. For me specifically, I'd like to speak to the hot pink area that I don't know what the designation is in there, but that's the area from like Vulcan down 231. That allows for the ability to zone those areas to residential from agricultural, or from agricultural to agricultural residential. This allows for the ability to zone these areas to residential, which we do not have the infrastructure for. I think one of the things that we're nervous about is, Chris, I've heard you in multiple zoning meetings talking about, well, the 2006 plan does not have that as a zoning option, so we can't do it. So if we adopt this and we turn this into something that could potentially turn all of those hot pink areas into residential, agricultural residential, or the brown areas around it.
Pink is commercial.
Commercial, okay. The hot pink is commercial, and then the brown areas around it are agricultural residential. We don't have the infrastructure there. Vulcan is a rock plant. We cannot get sewer through that area. It's not. The road is too narrow. We've talked about the hydrovac plant and the Old Murfreesboro Road East area already. Also, there was some industrial going over towards Central Pike, towards Wilson Central, and that road has sinkholes in it all the time. I just don't feel that we have the infrastructure to guide this, and if it's already not there, where are we going to put it there? If we have the ability to change these things and we have the zoning potential to change it, where's it going to go from here?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Jason Denton. I live at 5051 Coles Ferry Pike, right next to Commissioner McFarland. I've only spoke on this one other time, and that was at the county commission meeting whenever it went from 1 acre to 2 acres. Frank Lanham is my first job here in Wilson County. I worked with Lanham and Williams when I came out of law school as an attorney, and he used a term that was very hit home with me: unintended consequence. When we went from 1 acre to 2 acres, we had an unintended consequence which took my property specifically out of the ability for me to have the God-given right to give my kids property. I have 7.71 acres in 2 plots. I have 4 kids. My desire was to be able to give each kid 1.75 acres. That got taken away from me. I'm not a developer. I'm not trying to make money. I want to give my kids some land, and the reason why that land is so important, my mother-in-law lives behind me. My father-in-law was C.W. Barnes. I was one of the last people he called into the Summit Hospital room before he died, and he told me to take care of A.B. That's my mother-in-law. I can see her lot. She butts up next to me. I can see her house from my kitchen window. I make sure she's okay every night. The problem I have is that when we made it where it was 1 acre is what I bought it as. I bought that land for a purpose. I have goats. I've raised Simmental cattle there. I've bred them there. I have horses, and I have chickens. I just got a phone call that my goats are out from Donnie Steed. He went by my house and said, "Your goats are out." I said, "Okay." Yeah. So I'm not. Those calls, don't you? Yeah, I love them. I also attend Berea Church of Christ. This land, this community is very important to me. And I'm just going to say this, that if we don't have a mechanism for unintended consequences, then we're failing. Because I disagree with Mr. Neal when he said you've got developers here and farmers here. There's a third class of folks.
That's what I said.
Well, there's a third class of folks. Will you stop interrupting me? There are a third class of people, and that's people in the middle, like me. People that don't have 1,000 acres that mommy and daddy gave them. People who don't have a whole bunch of land. I've got 7 acres. I should have the right to be able to give it to my kids without having to go to R1. I am the line of A1 right at Man Road. I am that line. And all I'm going to say is that I sure hope that if we adopt this plan, that there's ability to file for variances and also have a concept that there's more people out there like me that own less than 5 or 10 acres that want to give some land to their kids. After I spoke at the last commission meeting, I got a call from Miss J. I'm not going to say what her name is. She clogs with my family. We're part of the clogging family at Evermean Evergreens. She called me and she said, my daughter just got married, Jason, and we want to give her some land, but we got denied our variance because of what just got happened. They just want to give her some land. That's all I'm after. I'm not anti-farm, I'm not pro-growth, but I'm saying there are people just like me. There's more people in this community like me than you realize that got caught in the middle of this fight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak today?
Commissioners, Mr. Mayor, appreciate you taking the time to hear our comments today. I'm Rachel Blackhurst. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Commercial Real Estate Development Association. As this future land use map has been labored over and discussed, our membership has expressed significant concerns about shrinking the amount of land available for commercial development. And while we are not thrilled with the result of this map, we really do appreciate the time that Mr. Lawless, the steering committee, put into it and the thoughtfulness that involved. Development is highly dependent on predictability. And so while we are not feeling especially thrilled with this map, we do encourage you to go ahead and vote to approve so that our industry can adapt accordingly. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am.
I'd put down good morning, but good afternoon. My name is Kathy Roberts, and I live on 2454 Old Rome Pike in the Big Springs area near TXR. I've had the privilege of living and teaching here the past 21 years. I participated in the public meetings and workshops held during the Plan Wilson process because I believed the county genuinely wanted resident input about the future of our community. At those meetings, I heard residents consistently express a desire to preserve the rural character of our community, protect farmland, reduce traffic impacts, and maintain larger lot sizes. Many of us chose to live in this area specifically because it is rural. When I look at the proposed future land use map, I do not see how the public input we provided is reflected in the recommendations for our area. My requests are simple. Please explain, or so at least this will be on record, what objective criteria were used to determine which property specifically in the Big Springs, Tucker's Crossroads area were assigned these future land use categories, and how those decisions reflect the feedback collected from residents. I would also like the county to provide documentation showing how public comment, survey results, and workshop feedback were incorporated into the final map. Many residents spent considerable time, like Ms. Zinker talked about, participating in this process. We deserve to understand how our input influenced the final recommendations. I'd also like to follow up with, can staff identify where the public input from the Big Springs Tuckers meetings supporting rural preservation and larger lot sizes is reflected on the future land use map? In my area, many residents who participated in this process feel that rural areas are being redesignated for greater residential density. Can staff explain why some large tracts remained in their current rural designation while neighboring areas were assigned a different future land use category? Was a parcel-by-parcel analysis performed? And if so, is that analysis available to the public? And I'll just wrap it up. In the end, longtime residents of Wilson County deserve better than to be put behind outsiders and developers. Everyone says growth is inevitable, but sensible, conservative growth isn't. If you don't keep building it, they can't come. Please vote no and come up with a plan that represents what residents wanted. I don't want my kids living here if it's such a huge mess. If we build housing squished together to be cheap, we might as well be a big concrete city. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Caleb Thorne, 1100 Misty Lake Drive. It's fortunate we live in a county where if you want to work, you can go get a job. We live in a location where we see our values go up every day by just living where we live. Growth is not something that's going to change based on the update to this plan or whether we do or do not update it. It's going to occur. The question is, are we going to guide this growth? Or are we going to live by the standard that was adopted over 20 years ago? I really appreciate all the public process, the time, the commitment, the opportunities everyone had to be able to look at this, work through it, communicate with it over the last 4 years. I really appreciate all the effort that was put forward with the thinking, the battling, the listening, and the adjusting that came through the plan that you have before you. I just hope that we don't sit here and not guide the future of our county, and we just sit here and react to what may or will come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Mike Bourne, and I reside at 327 Odom Lane here in Lebanon. I've been proud to call Wilson County my home since 1979 when I moved here. I owned 327 Odom Lane for over 32 years. I've raised 4 children there, ran my business there, and intend to remain there for years to come, with plans on leaving this property to my daughter when I pass. I have deep roots in this community, and I'm excited about the future that I'm witnessing as we go through it. I'm writing this to formally request a change to the future land use designation for a portion of my property. Under the Wilson County Master Land Use Plan, my property totals 48 acres. My home sits on approximately 8 on Odom Lane, and remaining 40 runs along 840, almost a mile of interstate frontage. The portion subject to this request is the 40 acres located adjacent to I-40. It's currently designated rural crossroads under the Wilson County Master Land Use Plan. I'm respectfully requesting that this portion be redesignated to a commercial corridor to allow for future development with my partners, Mortenson's Development. Can you tell I'm nervous? Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Mike, I got your letter in the mail, honestly. I didn't get it to you yesterday.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, too. We have a great sheriff's department here. Thank you all of your service.
Do we have anyone else wishing to speak at this time? You come close.
My name is Terry Neal, 1000 Murphy Lane. I want to thank you guys. I know this is getting to be a long day. Just want to start off by a quote here that I happened to find. This is an old Indian quote. We're going way, way back in history. The land belongs to the future. Amen. We come and go, but the land is always here. And we're talking about a land use plan, so I thought that was very, very, very fitting. I'm going to keep this very, very brief if I can. A couple of highlights that are in your land use plan document. Plan Wilson provides a vision to guide future development and protect quality of life. Not my words, land use plan words. There is no greater power for change than a community discovering what it cares about. Ask each and every one of you, what does the community care about? I think it's pretty clear. Not my words, that's land use plan. Plan for the future by prioritizing what matters most to the community. Not my words, right out of your document. I think it's clear. What matters most to this community is trying to slow growth in some way or another. I want to speak very briefly about the rural living. I live on the east end of the county. I'm concerned about the definition of rural living where it says you can have one dwelling unit on 1 acre. As a compromise, I think the gentleman, Lawyer Denton, might be surprised to hear me say this. As a compromise for rural living, why could we not have a proposal, and some of these other people may not like what I'm about to say, but as a compromise in rural living why could we not have a compromise where we would allow 1 acre dwellings on existing public roads? That would keep the subdivisions out of the east end of the county into rural living, and that would allow these landowners and farmers to have 1 acre lots on existing public roads. When was the last time that any of you saw a farmer sell his farm and build roads and build infrastructure and put in a sewer line and do all of that so he could sell 1 acre lots on his entire 200 acre farm? Farmers don't do that. Developers do that, not farmers. So if you want to, I understand farmers may have a right for 1 acre lots. He has a right for for 1 acre lot for his family, or to say, I'm just saying use that 1 acre lot on existing public roads, and it is a compromise and it is a win for everybody for Wilson County. And I would ask that you be willing to consider that and amend the current land use plan documents that are in front of you, amend it to allow in rural living 1 acre lots only on existing public roads. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jack Pratt Jr., 1145 Grant Road, Watertown, Tennessee. Mr. Chairman, I stand before you today in support of the new land use plan. I'm the former property assessor, a lifelong farmer, and over the last 30 years in the Tucker's Crossroads community, I've opposed an amusement park, an illegal rock quarry, and most recently, the industrial park from a couple years ago. This land use plan protects our community from data centers, distribution centers, and other industrial development, which is a huge win for agriculture, our community, and Wilson County as a whole. In regard to residential development, everybody remembers just a few years ago, all the properties that were zoned A1 had a minimum lot size of 40,000 square feet. Last year, the county commission increased that minimum lot size in A1 to 80,000 square feet, or approximately 1.83 acres. Entirely consistent with that, this new land use plan creates 2 new categories, rural living and rural ag. The rural living portion is eligible for 1 to 3 acres. The rural ag portion is eligible for 3 to 5 acres. Nowhere does this plan change the current county's zoning. It doesn't make A1 R1, either in rural living or rural ag. As a matter of fact, if you just do some simple math, if you combine both of those two, rural living and rural ag, your average lot size would be 2.5 acres. 2.5 acres. Now, we all know that every farm in the county couldn't support that small lot size on every bit of it due to topography, soils, and etc. It's also interesting that many in the Keep It Country, and one of the leaders this week just said he thinks 2.5 acres is the right lot size. So what are we fighting about? I don't know if we are, but what's the big fight about? I see this as a win. Respectfully also, I know a way. Many people like me want to see agriculture preserved. We want to keep it country, right? Well, I know a way, Mr. Mayor, that we can do this, Mr. Chairman. And it doesn't involve new zoning. It doesn't involve new regulations or a new plan. You can do it with the power of the pen, and you can do it tomorrow by using your individual property rights and putting that land into a land trust, whether you own 10 acres, 100 acres, 1,000 acres. You can do that today without any government approval. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak today?
Anna Faye Lehman, 1610 Ponderosa Trail. I was raised on a farm. My daddy milked cows. The Gene Denny farm that just recently sold for almost $11 million in Vesta was milking cows the same time my daddy did. And all I hear is keep it country, keep it country, keep it country. I was raised in the country. My daddy row crop, and then when he quit milking cows, he had beef cattle. He raised his own cattle on his own property. He never brought in nothing from the outside except a bull. So I think the people are sick and tired of hearing keep it country. Everybody has the right to live on 1,000 acres, 100 acres, or an acre. If you want to live on a half acre, go get in a subdivision and get one. But it is wrong to keep driving this in the ground and wearing people out about this keep it country and acting like the other people in this county have no right to sell their property, because they do. It's called property rights. And as Terry Ash said last month, the farmer's 401k is his land, and it's the truth. The land took care of my mama and my daddy. It's taking care of our family. The farm is gone. 840s and 109 project started it all. You don't tell the state of Tennessee they can't build a road. And let me tell you, when the state gets ready to do something, they're going to do it. And then come through the middle of your farm any day they so well choose. And you never know where the road's going to go next. And I know one thing. The Neal family sold a farm back in 16. They cut it up in lots, cut it up in tracts to get the most money. That's common sense. 4 of the tracts were less than 2 acres. But everybody keeps hollering in the east end of the county about 2 acres, 2 acres, 2 acres. You can't build a house on less than 2 acres, you know. Everybody has the right. They had the right to sell it. They had the right to divide it up. But so does everybody else. And quit telling this county and the people in this county they can't do it. And I'll tell you something else. I sat up here and listened to this. Half these people have moved in here. They live on a couple of lake lots or whatever. Why didn't you go buy a farm? Why didn't one of you go buy that Denny farm that sold about a month ago? You ain't got that kind of money. That's why you didn't buy it. This county is growing. You cannot stop it. We are too close to Nashville. And when you're in the door of Nashville and you got 2 federal interstates running through this county, what's going to happen? You're going to grow. Did we want all this mess? No. But we got it. You got to deal with it. You got to live with it. You got to learn to adjust. But quit telling people and wearing it out. And I'm going to tell you something else. Quit listening to some of these Facebook groups. Because that Adina Hink, that Adrema, whatever her name is.
Thank you so much.
She is not telling the truth on some stuff. She lied on me in there. And let me tell you something. Okay. Get your information straight from the meetings and look at them online, but don't take it secondhand.
Thank you.
Amen.
Do we have anyone else wishing to speak on this plan today? Yes, sir. I don't know if she get on the Facebook people. She should sell tapes.
Well, had some come.
Yeah, sound like.
Well, I tell you, I don't have the wisdom right there. You got it. Good afternoon, Planning Commission members, mayors, future commissioners, and most important, my fellow citizens. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about how we guide Wilson County. Our county spans more than 373,000 acres, yet only about 3% is zoned for commercial and industrial use. Even within that small footprint, it generates roughly 1/3 of our total revenue. 1/3. That tells us something important. When thoughtfully planned and properly located, commercial and industrial development is one of the most effective tools we have to support county services without increasing the burden of our residents, i.e. taxes.
Okay.
That was the alarm sounding. We need that importance was underscored by the recent Tennessee Advisory Commission on Intergovernmental Relations, otherwise known as TASER. Their infrastructure needs inventory identified over $2.5 billion in needs for Wilson County, particularly in transport, schools, and water systems. These are real documented demands driven by continued growth. So the question is not, again, whether growth will occur, because it will. The question is whether we manage it in a way that is physically and financially sustainable. Residential growth alone does not pay or offset the long-term costs it creates. Kind of those circumstances that were mentioned earlier. A balanced approach, one that includes strategic commercial and industrial development, is essential to broadening our tax base and maintaining our service levels. Equally important is where that growth happens. The 840 corridor was deliberately positioned for this purpose, supported by major infrastructure investments and access to regional transportation networks. The continued interest in that area reflects those decisions that have been made and the infrastructure that has been put in place. Directing development there is not a departure from our plan, it is simply a continuation of it. This is also an opportunity to improve how we grow. Much of our current framework is nearly 2 decades old and does not fully reflect today's realities. Supporting well-aligned projects allow us to correct past inconsistencies and guide development towards areas that can be best supported, while also addressing concerns raised by residents and other stakeholders. When development is done right, the benefits are tangible. It generates meaningful reoccurring revenue for schools, roads, and public safety. It provides relief to impacted families, and it reflects a more responsive approach shaped by community input. Finally, your decision today will send a message. When developers align with community expectations, invest in appropriate locations, and contribute to long-term stability, recognizing those efforts encourages the kind of partnerships that we need moving forward. So I ask that you guys amend the growth plan to what was submitted by the GNRC, specifically in the 840 corridor area.
Thank you,
it's
sir.
vital, it's important. Also,
Time's up, sir, I'm sorry.
We had a little graces. May I ask for 30 seconds grace?
We gave you grace. Wait.
Is that cool? First of all, Mr. Myers put it in terms, he mentioned all the agricultural land in Gladeville, which it does have. But there are other pieces in Gladeville that you can't put a plow, you can't even put a shovel or a spade in it. So, matter of fact, I brought him to my property to show him and whatnot. So don't think that that's one of the concerns. The property on the west side of Underwood Road is what has been cut off by this plan as opposed to the GNRC. It is imperative that we include that back into the plan. As I mentioned before, the percentage of what commercial and industrial put in, if we continue that up to just 0.3 acres or 0.3 miles more, think about how much money that puts into the county coffers. And the infrastructure is there. The infrastructure has been talked about. The infrastructure is there waiting for us. Lastly, to put it in just common terms, I don't necessarily like it because it's gotten out of hand, but the NBA finals were played, right? So this is akin to having Michael Jordan on your team, but with the land use plan here, we're going to set him on the bench. That makes no sense. It doesn't matter. Oh, he's still going to take over the league.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
He's right.
Yes.
Theo Neal, 2564 Ben Green Road, Lebanon, Tennessee. I just looked last night on how does the residential growth affect the county? Does it pay for itself? I'm pulling this at Farm Bureau. Costs of community services studies indicate that residential growth does not pay for itself, typically requiring $1.25 in services for every $1 of tax revenue. Conversely, agriculture does pay for itself. For every dollar that a farm pays in taxes, it takes 41 cents of that dollar back to provide services for that farm. Put it in terms of 200-acre farm, been here for 50 years. For the last 50 years, the county has got a large surplus because every year it takes in more money in taxes than what it has to give back to it in services. But if that 200-acre farm goes into a developer buys it, go put it in a large subdivision, He's gonna come in here and say, hey, I'm bringing in $100 million extra money to the county. I'm sure you'd like to have an extra $100 million for the county to spend. But what he's not telling you, that $120 million comes with an expense of $125 million. And somewhere that extra $25 million has got to be made up by somebody in the county. And it's being made up of these people that already live here, own property, and they're footing the bill for the very people that are destroying their quality of life. And that's just something I haven't heard anybody mention tonight, bring up. I did attend every steering committee meeting, and it would take me 30 minutes to tell you what I think about how twisted it all is. It's nothing about preserving agriculture. That's a selling point because it sells goods to the community. It's more about selling houses in more rural areas, which is destroying agriculture. You can say it any way you want, but you've twisted upside down the truth. And it's not about reducing the number of people, the number of residences in Wilson. It's about increasing it. We know when the county commission voted to decrease the lots in half, who was against it? Realtors, developers. They sued the county. They called the commissioners, told them not to vote for it. And here we're being told by the steering committee that vote for this and it reduces residential lots. If that's true, how come realtors, developers, builders, how come they're not calling y'all and say, hey, do not vote for this because we don't want to. We know if it was actually decreasing lots like they said it would when they revealed it from the steering committee, that they would be complaining about it. But this is geared just for builders and developers. It's what they want. It's their plan. And if y'all will go forward with it, don't say you're doing it to preserve agriculture. That's an insult to me and everybody that farms. So for once, do something for the people. And don't ever ask the community to come forward and give their public input on what you want and tell them that they have an input in something. The steering committee has the evidence that 90% of the people that answer their questions wanted slow growth. But yet from here, you sounds like everybody wants to speed up growth. It's all about building houses. It's a lot of unhonesty in this, and I do not like the way it's going. I wish y'all would be more honest with people.
The last time.
Just stay here. We got to move.
Oh, I don't.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody. This is first meeting I've attended. So, but I grew up in Mount Juliet since '98. So I'm the one that had 4 kids. My wife back there. So he had to go get some lunch. But I appreciate your time. I've been listening, hearing things on both sides, and can appreciate that we want to be careful and conscious about how we're going to grow this beautiful city and county of ours. So I'll tell you, my wife and I, when we got married in 2014, we grew up in Mount Juliet. You know, we were here before Providence, before all that. You know, over in Poplar Ridge, and we've gotten to see how much traffic there is now. So you know, we lived over when we first got married in the city, and we had a calling. But the Lord just wanted us to help raise our kids out in the country. Now I'm a realtor as well, so like I know property brings a higher price if you got, you know, a little bit larger lot. And so we'd looked all over for like over a year and a half, just wrestling with this. And we love Mount Wilson County, and the prices are just shooting through the roof. And we eventually went out to Watertown, and I had a good friend pass during COVID in Watertown. I was like, man, Watertown's way out here. And so eventually we fell in love with our address is 2760 Linwood Road. And so we ended up building a house there last July on 10 acres, and we're working on a fence and building a farm, and that's how we want to raise our children. So my request here, the reason why I came here was just to request that the rural living acre minimum be to be a 2 acre, you know, size, you know, instead of making it 1 acre, because we've gotten to see how in others connecting cities, if the infrastructure's not there and they can build up all these houses, it just really kills the traffic. And we're trying to preserve. I'm hoping we can buy at least 10 years and like help enjoy this beautiful countryside out here instead of having somebody buy the farm across the street from us and start building up all these communities and stuff. So if we can get a larger lot size though and help preserve some of this country life, that's what we were looking for. That's why I don't mind driving an hour to Nashville from Watertown, because I love getting off the exit and enjoying this beautiful scenery. So that's my request, is just try to preserve it to 2-acre lot minimums for rural living.
What's your name?
My name's Philip Fallon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Please.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Sandoval, 316 Crissa Lane here in Lebanon. I grew up in Tucker's Crossroads, and just to reiterate what several people before me have said, I'm concerned with the rural living acreage and feel that it should be at least 2 acres. As we've mentioned, the county commission voted on it just last year, and so it would really support. So the people that are for what's up on the screen seem to think that because they voted for it last year that it's fine. But if that's true, then just incorporate that into this vision and this plan that we have here, because this will affect the next 20, 30 years, not just the 1 year or the next few months. But if it really is what they voted on and what the people want, which I do think the surveys would show, then please incorporate that into this plan. And then someone that I don't even know, they had to leave early, they sent me this form. Can I give it to you?
What, you can give it to Chris. You can give it to Christopher.
Be read into the record?
I don't
know, because
think.
Since post-COVID, we don't read anything that's not under sworn testimony into the record.
Yeah. I don't know who it is, but they do have their name and address and
I can accept it and scan it in as documents. It just can't be read into the record because they didn't swear in.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this case today?
I'm always wrong.
Yes, sir.
Glenn McPeak, 7205 Canesville Road. I wasn't going to speak, but I decided to. Ms. Denny, I appreciate what you said. Your dad and my dad were good friends. Well, your dad was a Denny, wasn't he?
No.
Okay.
She wishes she was.
Okay, sorry about that.
She knows the lineage.
Yes. We've got a farm south of Lebanon. My dad was a full-time farmer. We've been there 70 years. I feel like the 1 acre lot is justified, and I've got some reasons why. When you go to a 2 acre lot, you're taking money out of farm families' hands. Real estate people may correct me, but roughly right now, an acre of ground in Wilson County is about $100,000 if it's a nice lot. You call 2 acres, well, it's not $200,000. It's probably around $150,000, roughly, on average. So you're costing that farm family that's had that farm for maybe even generations, that finally are going to sell it and not farm, about $50,000 per lot. A lot of people that want a house and lot, they don't want 2 acres. An acre is fine for them. 2 acres, they have to mow and keep it up, and to me, it's actually a waste of land when you go to 2 acres. If folks want more land, then they can buy a 5 acre tract or an 8 acre tract or whatever. The average farm in Wilson County, just how many 1 acre tracts do you think can actually be surveyed off of it, realistically? With rock and clay soils, probably just a handful, actually. It's not like a farm's going to be covered up with 1 acre lots. My children will decide what they're going to do with our farm. I'm going to hold on to that as long as I can, physically able to work it. I've told my wife to let our children inherit it, for one reason, for tax purposes. But the decision will be theirs to what they do with it. If they sell it as a whole, great. If they don't sell it as a whole, I won't know anything about it. I'll be dead and gone. So I'm not going, I don't want to restrict them going forward on what they can or cannot do. The Denny Farm's been brought up as an example. I looked at that plat. I didn't go to the auction, but out of 277 acres of ground, 4 tracts was 2 acres. 4 tracts out of that entire farm. And I'm guessing that those 4 tracts possibly could have been divided back into 1 acre tracts. So if that was possible, if that scenario was possible, then 4 additional houses would be built on 277 acres of ground. To me, that's nothing really. That's absolutely nothing. And I tell people that want to conserve farmland, and there's nobody in this room that loves farming more than I do. After school, I went and got a public job, but for 41 years, I have farmed after work, weekends, holidays, vacations. And I've been fortunate and blessed enough for the last 8 years to be able to farm full time, and I love it. But if you want to conserve farmland, put your farm, like Bubba said, put your farm in a trust, conservation easement, so that it will remain a farm from here on out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Bart Netherland. I live at 8650 Coles Ferry Pike in a R1 rural area. My story's a little different. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in rural Obion County, far northwest corner of the state. I grew up on a family farm there. We row crop farmed. We had cattle, a couple hundred acres, and I always thought it was my dream that I would take that over and farm it. And my dad said, you know, unfortunately, we don't have enough land. You got to have about 7,000 acres to sustain a row crop farm. You know, look around here. You can't even buy you know, a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread in our town. We're too close to Kentucky. We got sales tax. Our town is dying. You need to go to college. You know, you're a Lego boy. I recommend engineering. You know, you might like construction, something. I did that. I went to school. I got a degree in civil engineering. My wife got a degree in elementary education. Her first paying job was $42,000 a year. My first paying job was $55,000 a year. She grew up in Franklin. She had this dream we were going to live downtown Nashville in a real nice condo, real expensive place. And she got a real awakening whenever the guy that grew up where I did said, you know, I can't do that. You know, babe, I couldn't even afford a lawnmower in college. I borrowed the neighbor's goat and moved around the yard with a stake to be able to keep my yard mowed. And so we got to looking, and we were fortunate enough to find a farmer that he sold 2 one-acre tracts off the front of his farm. He was sick. He needed income to be able to sustain the rest of his life. We bought one of those lots. We built a house there. We've been there ever since. The neighbor now has goats, has pigs. You talk to my little girl, the hardest part of her day is coming inside to clean the dirt out from underneath their fingernails where she hangs out with the neighbors. We live a rural life on 1 acre. The lot that I grew up in northwest Tennessee, like I said, my family had a couple hundred acres. They deeded 1 acre off to my dad. My whole life, I'm about as country as some of my friends say. I've never lived on more than 1 acre in my entire life. Preserve the 1 acre, make it affordable for some people, you know, younger people that live here to be able to buy a new home, build a new home. Don't lock it in where you're at and you've got to build an old home and now you're worried about, you know, is your air conditioning going to go out? You're worried about you're going to have to put a new roof on your house. The income, you know, that you have doesn't sustain a lot of stuff to moving into an old home. We're fortunate. We bought a new house. We're happy as can be where we're at in Wilson County. Please keep it at 1 acre in the rural living. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The weekend job.
Good afternoon.
My name is Paula West. Address is 12725 North Milton Road. I just moved here 3 months ago from South Florida. In South Florida. So where I moved from is Jupiter Farms, and it's about 30 minutes north of West Palm Beach. Jupiter Farms is pretty rural. Our neighborhood created a residence board to protect our rural character. The neighborhood Jupiter Farms is actually in support of Pratt Whitney, which is a jet engine fuel manufacturer that's just a couple blocks away from the neighborhood. The residence board got together from, I think, the 90s up until now, still going on, to protect the neighborhood, as I mentioned. They started noticing that farms went from several hundred acres to several, 20 acres to 10 acres, then went down to 1 acre. And now at 1 acre, the residence board went to the county and said, we need protection. The county then helped the residence board in the neighborhood and created a neighborhood plan to protect Jupiter Farms. The neighborhood plan does not allow for any subdivision of less than 10 acres, so 1 house per 10 acres. And that has actually worked out for that neighborhood. Understanding that that's not where I live, but that's to tell you that I moved here. And actually, I forgot to mention, I'm actually a certified land planner and a landscape architect without a license. But we did move here, leaving a rural area to come to a more rural area for that very purpose. I live in the Greenville area, not anywhere that's going to really affect me with this plan, but understanding that this is a base level plan where zoning regulations will come out of, this is the bare minimum. So I do agree that the smaller lots need to be in public roads, and I do also want to mention that we do have to be smart and we do have to be responsible in growth. So again, I came late to the party, but I just wanted to put that in the record. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone? Yes, ma'am, please.
My name is Cindy Garvin Sanchez. I'm at 1111 Couchville Pike, and I'm also here with my mother, who lives at 1111 Couchville Pike. She lives at the juncture of Couchville Pike, Underwood Road, and Maddox Road, so she is in the middle of a commercial development area. I feel like I should start off with some really cool story, because it kind of seems like the genre of things that have come. And I was born and raised here. But in light of brevity and hungry bellies for lunch, I just would like to reflect a little bit on Mr. Clint Thomas's presentation earlier. I think he made some very valid points. They were well stated with regard to the development plan that, as you see it here, and some possibilities down the road. There was a phrase used earlier about unmitigated or unexpected consequences. In the military, we call those second and third order effects. And second and third order effects are not always negative. There are sometimes positive effects that come out of a decision that you didn't even realize would come in the beginning. Right now, Mr. Thomas indicated that this was a good plan, but with an amendment to that plan in light of some of the things that have been discussed earlier with the 840 corridor and some of those exit points, that would really facilitate prosperity in the county. And if you leaned into some of those potential and current commercial and industrial partners, you would also see some revenue that would also assist in the community. And that's a second and third order effect for the county. So my point today would just be that you would hopefully consider that opportunity to make an amendment to this current plan so that the county can get at a better standing and be able to support that future growth that keeps being focused on in the county. We have a lot of folks coming into the county and a need to support the families who are here and the things that need to be developed with regard to schools and things like that. And if you don't lean into some of those commercial and industrial partners, there's a question as to where that financial support would come from. And the fear would be that it would fall into the individual landowners and homeowners. And you have an opportunity here to move forward with a second and third order effect that could present a positive effect for the county. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, afternoon, I'm sorry.
I'd like to say good morning, but it's not, is it?
No.
My name is Sonia Robinson, and I'm at 1824 Underwood Road. I'm in District 13. The first thing that I would like to do this afternoon is to thank you, and I would like to thank this board, the board that has worked for 2 years to get this land use plan done. Is it going to make everybody happy? No, it's not going to make everybody happy. But I do believe it's one that we can work with. We haven't had a land use plan since 2006. We worked with that for a long time. We've worked with this. These people have listened. Christopher has done an excellent job. Mayor, thank you. He's listened. When I have gone, we have worked there in the 13th district. Folks, you cannot tell people that they cannot sell their land. You can't tell them that. This is their land. A lot of folks cannot afford 2 acres. Not too long ago here in this county, 1 acre sold at $195,000 an acre. I don't care where you come from. There's not too many people that can afford $195,000 for 1 acre. We've got a lot of people that come here because of our education, because of this county that I love, that I grew up in. But you cannot tell people that they cannot sell their land. And if they want an acre, if they want 2 acres, if they can afford 2 or more acres, good for them is all I can say. But a lot of folks don't have that. They don't have it where they can pass it down to generations. They don't have that. So they do good on 1 acre. I was impressed with the young man that just got up here. He lived on 1 acre, and he's still there. This is a positive plan. Is it perfect? No, like I said, not everybody's going to like it. But I do believe it's one that we all can work with. So I'm asking you, please, to approve this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wishing to speak today on this plan?
This can't be it.
Hang on here, Madam Chairman. I could have passed out.
What is your name, young lady?
I did sign in. I'll wait till those are distributed. Beth Bowman, 2055 Belotes Ferry Road, District 6 Commissioner and Steering Committee Chair.
A hero. Visual.
Nice.
And Christopher, I do have a copy for you because I know you like to have a copy. When I was newly elected, I stood in front of this board for what felt like about 2 years. Commissioner Evans was with me. We were as green could be. And we learned a lot about land use, and we learned a lot about zoning. And I made a comment one day to this board. The worst thing I have to do as a commissioner is stand in front of you and watch friends and neighbors and family come in here and fight about dirt and walk out of these doors and never talk to each other again. I'm in my last days, and that's the same comment I'd say today. But that gave me a passion for this land use plan that's in front of you today. This is where we started. 20 years ago, a good group of people developed the current land use plan that we have, and this is the map from that plan. Mr. Thompson, thank you for 2 times in a row doing this. Mayor, please don't punish me that way. This plan has served Wilson County well. It has served the people of Wilson County well. But 20 years later, it is time for a new vision for this county. Change is hard. New is hard. But without a vision, the people perish. And at some point as a county, we have to come together and we have to be united, because divided we will fall. This land use plan is an opportunity for us to be united. This land use plan is not a growth plan. It's a tool to manage growth, but it is not a growth plan. This land use plan is not a zoning plan. Every drop of zoning supersedes everything in this plan that you have before you today. Zoning districts are not the same as place types. Place types and zoning districts are not meant to be a one-to-one correlation. And most importantly, this land use plan in front of you today is not permanent. This land use plan, for the first time ever, and something I think I can speak on behalf of the steering committee, we are so proud to put in front of you. It has a built-in 4-year review process. If we've gotten things wrong, if there's a vision, an opportunity, a moment in this county that we couldn't foresee, every 4 years, this body gets a chance to look at that and to review it and to see if changes need to be made. That should give you confidence looking 20 years into the future, that this plan is something that will evolve and that will continue to listen to the residents of this county. Important things take time, so I've given you 22 years of time in your hand. What is in your hand is our current land use plan, a copy of where we started as a steering committee, and ultimately where we landed as a steering committee is something to present to you guys today. Good people worked on this plan. Good people who fill this room today showed up, have spoke up, and have shared input to shape this plan today. There are good people who serve on this planning commission today, and there are good people in 4 years who will make revisions to this plan. Today we need a vision to move forward, and that decision rests in your hands. I ask for you to adopt this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak today?
Michael Swope, 2021 Bobo Road. I want to thank you guys first and foremost for the positive recommendation on my land on Bobo Road. And then the folks on the steering committee, all y'all are here. I know this is a really tough environment, and I know I had a role in making that tough, so I hope we can smooth things over as we move forward. Please recognize that my passion that I've expressed through this whole process is just a reflection of my love for this county. I know that might seem odd to many of you that are born and bred here. As many of you know, many of the areas designated rural living lacks infrastructure, roads, schools, in many cases water, like my place. The current definition of rural living doesn't match the vision statement. As I listen to Mr. McPeak here, I'm sympathetic to what he's talking about. I actually think he makes great points, and I think what Mr. Neal brought up is a reasonable compromise. We're maybe even in agriculture, rural ag. I hate to even say that out loud with all of the fighting I've done to try to preserve as much agricultural land as possible, but maybe this body really needs to consider that on existing public roads in all areas that are zoned agricultural, landowners like Mr. McPeak or this man back here, have a right to give their children land, but at the same time not create a situation where we're having development, like housing developments that are going to really pull down on the county's ability to provide educational opportunities and roads, safe roads for people, and WEMA to do their job. So thank you guys for your time, and I'm grateful I'm not in your all shoes.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, Kaylee Kreider Pratt, 1145 Grant Road, Watertown. I'm married to a farmer, which means that, God comes first, farming comes second, I come third. I'm here today to support the adoption of the new land use plan. For rural living and rural agricultural areas, this plan protects areas both from R1 residential zoning and from the type of industrial development that many of us defeated just a few years ago. The plan is consistent with existing zoning and is just so much better than the existing plan from 2006, and I really thank Ms. Bowman and others for that. It's such a huge win for the county. I think what's actually happening here is that folks just have other reasons for wanting to delay or to oppose the new land use plan. For some, the existing plan from 2006 simply allows for much smaller lots, more high-density development, and more commercial and industrial development, and that's what they want. And I understand that. For others, they want no more houses, no development, no newcomers. And so they're willing to try to use the tools of big government to trample on property rights. Look, we all live 30 minutes from one of the fastest growing cities in the country. The Super Bowl is coming. Starbucks and Oracle are on the way. AllianceBernstein is here. Projections are that 750,000 people are moving to Middle Tennessee within the next 10 years, and that's regardless of who is elected to public office. I moved here 18 years ago, and for those who oppose growth, it would be interesting if this commission could ask if speakers knew which farms split so you could have your home. Except for a few large landowners, the answer would be the Winfrey Farm, the White Farm, the Swindell Farm, and I could go on. Did you oppose the splitting of those farms for your house or your lot? Is what is good for me not for thee? Mr. Chairman, this commission cannot put its head in the sand. Change is here. We can't put a wall around the county. We can't try to stop families from selling their land to support their retirement or help an ailing family member. Not everyone is wealthy. For many, as we've heard, their home and land is all the wealth they have. We have a pretty good idea how one person on this commission is going to vote because they stated it at the county court on Monday. But Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, to the rest of you, I implore you to not make the perfect the enemy of the very, very good. Ignore the fake news on Facebook, the bullying, and all the other stuff that's been referenced here. And please vote to approve the land use plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Diane Jernell, and I live at 3571 Murfreesboro Road. I'm in the proposed commercial corridor. I was not planning to speak, so sorry. I'll try to keep my thoughts in one place. I also grew up in Southwest Virginia on 225 acres. I totally understand the farm and keeping the farm. But in today's world, most kids don't want the farm. So people should, in my opinion, my humble opinion, people should be able to sell the farm if that's what they want to do. And it's no one's right in this room, in my opinion, to say you can't sell your farm. And like the lady before me, you know, I'd like to know how many people have bought a house on a farm that was split up so they could buy that house. You know, you can't just move here today, and I've lived here for 33 years. You can't just move here today or last week in a farm, in a house that was, a farm was split up, and now we don't want anybody else to come. Those people behind us probably didn't want me to come 33 years ago, but, you know, exactly. The land use plan, you know, and Christopher and I talk on a regular basis, and Haskell and I talk. You know, I'm rezoned to commercial. When I pull out of my driveway, I'm looking at Joe Denny's industrial property. If I sit in my driveway and try to pull out on 231, I'm looking at industrial. Well, I had to fight to get me rezoned to commercial. So the land use, I'm in that little pink part, I think, up there. The land use plan, what I would ask you to do as a current person suffering from what has happened in the past. I've been told, well, you know, that happened, but we don't like the way it turned out. Well, that's not my problem. It's your job to rezone, and it's your job to make sure when you rezoned me, I followed the rules, or you stop it. You know, just like the building that we talked about earlier today, Hydrovac, yes, the Hydrovac building. You know, I've been told several times, well, we didn't know that was going to happen. Well, you should have monitored that. So what I'm trying to say with the land use plan is I would like to see more fairness. You know, you can't punish me because you allowed something and it didn't go the way you wanted it. You need to police that. Terry Ash is sheriff. Send him down there. You know, lock him up. Don't punish me because you did something that didn't go the way you liked it after the fact. So for the land use plan, I'm all in favor of the land use plan. And I think you've done, and I'm a real estate agent, and I've subdivided farms in Mount Juliet. I've done all this crap. And, you know, people have that right. So I would just ask that there be fairness in, don't punish me because you don't like what my neighbor did that you allowed 10 years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Do we have anyone else wish to speak?
Hey, Joe.
If not, we'll close the public comment period on this issue, and I will open the floor up for questions or comments from our board. Do we have it? Well,
Yeah, I got some.
go ahead, Houston. We need mayor's tied up anyway, so that's good.
How do you leave?
So I got a lot of notes here. They're kind of all over the place, but I appreciate all the comments, both sides. It's definitely not easy for sure, and appreciate everything you did, Beth. And yeah, I did get up and talk Monday about it, and like I said, there was a few things a little bit concerning to me, and most of them deal with the rural living. And I think, and I don't know if it was mentioned or not, but like what I think most people are concerned about is just if you allow the 1 acre, then you're allowing all the subdivisions. And then, I mean, like to me, it makes more sense to have them on a public road. I mean, I feel like that is a good compromise to some degree. And I know I'm the lone wolf up here, but I mean, that's just how I feel. And I feel like that's best for the county. And like I said on Monday, I love everybody in here. I want to do what's right. I mean, you know, it hurts me to like see both sides like that. But I mean, like, I feel like that is a really good compromise. I mean, you're kind of getting both sides. You know, you're keeping the subdivisions possibly out. Maybe they don't come in there. I don't know. But to me, that's what I've been told. That's what everybody seems to say. So why wouldn't that be true? And I mean, look at Gladeville. Luke's probably left, but I mean, what's happened there? So like, that's what I want to say. I might have more to say in a minute, but I want to leave it at that for right now. But thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else with comments or questions from our board? Okay. I would like to make just a couple of comments. I had the opportunity to serve on the steering committee, and I want to commend Beth Bowman. She led that committee for 2 years. I lost count. It's 15 or 18 meetings. How many?
Yeah. Haskell's right.
Mr. Evans was on that committee also.
It was actually 22. It's just 22.
Okay, that's okay.
You're at 42?
And we've heard the word compromise in here a lot. A tremendous amount of compromises have been made across the board on this plan. Not one member of that committee will tell you they're 100% satisfied with this map. Not one. We know it's flawed in some ways. What she wanted or he wanted, sometimes we just made the best decision we knew how. I can assure you that the time was put into this thing, and a good faith effort was made to get it right. We went through this page by page, paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence. We had people correcting our punctuation. I do want you to know that the the time and effort was put into this. I'm confident nobody in here completely agrees with this map. But I do want you to know the time and effort was put into it. Do we have any more questions?
I just to comment that Beth did an outstanding job.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. You've had a rough 4 years. You got started off with a lot of controversy. The pressure the folks have put on you the last couple of years is unwarranted and disrespectful. And it was. And I don't blame you for making a decision not to run again. Been there, done that. But the one thing I was able to get into that plan was that 4-year review that I talked about all along. It's the triggering mechanism. If we have overlooked something, there's time to come back and correct. And finally, it wouldn't. I mean, had to preach my sermon for 2 or 3 months, but I think it's one of the best things we did in that plan. So if it's not perfect, we got a way to fix it. But you won't know until we're a year or two down the road, see what happens. We don't know what the next greatest thing is going to come to this county. And then we're all going to be, I may not be here, but I'll be at the garden somewhere. But we're going to have to make a decision. Do we amend the land use plan? And I would not be surprised in the least if there is not something before us within 90 days or 120 days to amend the land use plan. And that's okay. That's what we've been doing since 2006. And we'll work through all that. But thank you for your efforts. Thank you for letting us get this 4-year review in it. I think it's a fallback mechanism for everybody. So things in the plan I don't like, I'm going to vote for it. But there's some things in that plan I don't like because it affects me personally. But I didn't argue over it. I think everybody got treated the same, I guess, in the end.
That's good. Anything else from our board? Last chance. All right. Having said that, I'm going to make a motion we approve the land use plan as presented by the steering committee. So we have a second.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Weathers. Christopher, do you want to do a roll call on this?
We can, or you can
you
see
would,
how the
please do.
first vote works. I need to clarify that there's 8 of you. 1, 2, 3. There's 8 of you now. This does take 6, and no matter how it comes out to move forward. Noakes,
No.
Turner,
Yes.
Weathers,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Hutto,
Yes.
Neal, Woods,
Yes.
Ash.
Yes.
That'd be 6-4 and 2 against, so that would pass. That will be your binding document going forward. That does not have to have consideration by the legislative body of the county commission. You will forward a resolution to them stating that this is the new land use plan that you are going to be issuing recommendations off of. I would recommend that you make a motion to send it to them with that information and a motion to rescind the 2021 resolution that when they adopted the 2006 land use plan, so that you all are not playing by a different set of rules.
You need a motion from us now to ask the county commission to rescind the 2006 plan.
Yes.
What? And what else?
That's all. I think that.
Well, the first part would just be a motion to send it to the county commission stating that you've adopted this plan, and all recommendations from this body will be referencing this 2026 plan. And then the second part of that would be to rescind the 2021 resolution that adopted the 2006 land use plan. It can all be in one if you want.
I move to.
Do what Christopher said?
Yeah. So moved.
I second what.
We have a motion for Mr. Turner, a second by Mr. Ash. All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Christopher, I know we still have public comment period. Do we have anything else you need to address?
Not at this time, no, sir.
Okay. But the state law does require us to give you an opportunity to speak to us about anything that you've got on your mind. And anyone wishing to do that, we'll give you a 3-minute time to do that. Do we have anyone wishing to speak? Seeing none, we will adjourn our meeting. Thank you.